tonight on 8.5-bit 2021, plus some other things. Welcome, friends of all designs, to episode 286 of 8.5-bit. I am your host, Paul, and joining tonight are my good friends James.
Hello.
And Samuel.
Hello.
And hello. I never call you Samuel. I probably do it once in a while.
Am I in trouble?
No. Okay. That's what long names are for, aren't they?
Pulled memories out of my childhood, calling me Samuel.
That's why.
Is that actually your full
Yeah.
name? It is Samuel.
Yeah. I try not to let many people know.
It's actually Samwise Gamgee. It's always good to give a child a name that's has a few syllables, but can be easily shortened to one, because it's one for all and just the few syllables for in trouble.
Yes.
It's good because whenever I get mail, if it says Sam, it's something I've bought, and if it says Samuel, it's from the government. So it works out quite well.
So whenever you get the email from MyGov where it says you currently have a waiting message, do you get that pang?
A little bit.
I'm
like, oh no, what have I done?
What have I done?
The tax man is onto me.
It's always completely innocuous and fine.
It's the same guilt when you're driving and a cop pulls you.
You're like, oh, what have I done? They're
just on the road with you.
I liked last year it added me to submit my tax for 20 years ago or so. So it's like, oh, you're missing these tax returns. I'm like, I don't think I earned money.
Just lodge a nil.
Yeah,
that's all I do.
I'm pretty sure I didn't have a job yet. Why did you just add this now? They're gonna get me. They're gonna get me with it.
It's a trick. They'll get you eventually.
Exactly. How have we been, boys?
Yeah,
pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Still
really
doing pre-baby stuff. It's all getting pretty sorted out.
Yeah, you should hold off on it.
Well, on baby stuff.
Yeah, just. Yeah, keep it in a little longer.
Yeah, well, he's not coming out.
Well, he's not due yet, is he?
Yeah. Well, he's technically he's 40 weeks next week, but Cheryl is getting real over it.
Yeah. That's called being pregnant. It's very easy to get over it. And everyone wants them out early, but especially first pregnancy, more likely to be late. So we may still have time for Monster Hunter. That's all that really matters. Yes, we had Monster Hunter plans last week, and they didn't happen because we had a lockdown in Brisbane again. But we are, as far as I'm aware, compliant with current restrictions in sitting in its private residence.
It was an okay lockdown. It was short enough that it wasn't too annoying.
It was no problem at all because you just could still go out and wear a mask during the day. The only problem was it cancelled our chicken and soju and Monster Hunter plans.
Yes, that was the worst part.
They're just bad timing on the lockdown, really.
Yeah, for just that one reason. Everything else was fine. But yes, we're back and we're here and we've been playing a lot of video games. Now tonight is going to be a special where, well, I'm not just going to make it cool reading a long list, because I do have a very long list.
Just read
but we're
list.
just going to talk...
That's just read it out, deadpan, straight to camera, and then cut the episode.
That's right. We're going to talk about the Callisto Protocol. Actually, I meant to remove that one because I don't remember what that game is.
I don't remember what it is
I
either.
thought it was another game called Adios, because I couldn't remember its name either, and it wasn't. So I can't tell anyone about it. Billy
it's
did.
A long game.
But now you can Google it, because we've made...
Yeah, and I've decided that we're going to be paperless. I'm just going to use my laptop from now on. That's also because the driver didn't auto-install on my computer for the printer, and I haven't
just lazy.
Yet.
But how are you going to draw your random things?
I know those feelings.
It's touchscreen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. That's going to be more distracting.
Just a little square on the window.
Yeah. I actually don't have a good drawing program
just
for
open
that.
Paint. Just
Paint's probably better because Photoshop is not designed for drawing with a touchscreen. I did do a big lot of art once, and using it in Photoshop in tablet mode. I mean, I'm sure people do it, but it is not user-friendly.
It very much impresses me what I've seen people do on iPads with the iPad versions of Photoshop and etc.
There are some really good drawing programs,
impressive.
and I think those are actually geared more to touch interface. PC version, there's a mode to switch it to. Your mileage will vary. I mean, I'm sure if I gave it more time, I'd become better. But I just needed to draw pictures of my father-in-law in strange clothing.
Yes.
Yeah, I made a series that he's known for wearing basically just like a collection of random op shop items when he dresses. There's a special Instagram page just for his bad dress sense.
Really?
Yeah. So I just made a whole bunch of tops, bottoms, legs, and heads that my sister-in-law were fridge magnets, and you can swap them over. So you can give him a Pope hat and Tony Abbott's DTs and like the puffy pirate
like the
shirt
weird
from Seinfeld.
police, like
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Except it's just your father-in-law.
Some roller skates. It's all good. Okay, so before we get into things coming up this year, let us... Actually, there's probably some more news, but I forgot about it. But I have some very brief news. Some cool news. So, some news that was just like nothing, that turned into cool news. So, Disney has announced that LucasArts now doesn't exist, even though it hasn't existed in a long time. But it's back, and it's not called that anymore. It's now called Lucasfilm Games, which it was for a while anyway. Yeah. So, they're back.
And they've kind of just gone and got all the Star Wars games and gone, they're under this umbrella.
Oh, yeah.
These belong
they retconned.
Yeah. They had our game sizzle reel, and the game sizzle reel was just the Star Wars games from the last 4 years. Yeah. And KOTOR, I think. Or was that just...
Might have just been the Old Republic.
Probably the Old Republic,
yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't paying enough attention because I was like, thanks for fully representing LucasArts Legacy here. Yeah. And then on the Z Games Facebook page, someone said, "Oh, glad to see Indiana Jones got some representation." To which my reply was, "I don't think they care about anything but Star Wars." Now that was about 2 hours before. 2 hours before Lucasfilm Games, aka Disney, and Bethesda announced that there is a Indiana Jones game in development, quite early in development, and it's being made by Machine Games, which we know mostly from Wolfenstein.
Yes, which I am a huge fan of.
Yes, and proves that they can do Nazis.
Yeah, which is an important thing.
They do Nazis very well.
Jones game.
Yeah, they do good. I almost wonder whether they can restrain to do more normal Nazis now that they've got...
Well, now that we have real Nazis.
Yeah.
So could we just have modern... indie just fighting like today Nazis?
Like you play an elderly gentleman.
Yeah.
Oh, why not? It could be good.
Could.
Sam, I'm going to do a little bit of behind the scenes of how the show works here.
Right.
I've left the fan on in this room, and I can hear it in the microphones.
Oh.
Could you get up and turn the fan off? And we might even get puppies visiting today.
Oh,
because,
lucky.
Because we have not shut the door because
one sleepy
there's
puppy.
I'm also monitoring my baby.
There is a sleepy puppy at my
So
feet.
there's all sorts of things that could distract this episode. Okay, so you Indiana Jones. I don't really know what to expect. I expect it'll be a third-person game.
Yeah.
Because that seems like Indiana Jones, which is not a kind of game that Machine Games has done.
No.
But they've done plenty of first-person and some VR. Excuse me. And some VR, and the VR was terrible.
Oh, yeah. What was it? Cyber something?
Cyber junk.
So, no.
Cyber
I never
trash.
actually played it.
Oh, I did. They had just some weird things that seemed like they hadn't played other VR games. I'm going to transition from that mention, unless we have anything to say about Indiana Jones. There's nothing to know yet. They said it'll be a while till we see anything else.
We can speculate, but what's the point?
Oh, actually, no. We do. There is other LucasArts news. I posted Duncan Jones, aka David Bowie's son, director of Moon, has apparently written a script for a Full Throttle movie.
Yeah, he got bored during lockdown.
Yeah. Completely unsolicited. No reason to think it would ever be picked up and done.
Gonna do?
Yeah. It was funny reading like the tweets following it, because people were like, "Oh, can I use this to make a fan project?" It's like, I own none of this. He has put it out into the world, and if anything happens to it, then
yeah.
It's like, it would be lovely. It won't happen, but it would be lovely. That'd be cool. And I was thinking Mark Hamill is now old enough to actually play the character he played in Full Throttle. So that would be good. And everyone just want the classic lines like, "Not putting my lips on that." Nice forks. Where'd you find them? Next to the nicer spoons. Just a bunch of little ones. And yeah, I really want that wall kicking scene. That's not the spot. Kick.
I kind of would like the original voice cast to get together and just do a bit of a table reading.
We say that. The problem is the scripts aren't written like a long form thing to listen to, because they did that with Grim Fandango.
Yeah.
And I was so hyped and then so disappointed. Because it's not long scenes. It's small segments of dialogue, which then you pick your funny answer, and then it's like so it's hard to. What I would really like is someone to turn them into full scripts like this. And so now, Duncan Jones, could you please go and do Grim Fandango, which is really the one I want.
Just seen another pandemic, so he's got the time to do it.
Yeah, and then we need Disney to care about properties that aren't
potentially
Indiana
the
Jones and
setting
Star
for a
Wars.
Grim Fandango film.
Yes. I've been talking about Grim Fandango a lot recently. Anyway, so now I'm going to use my old transition, but I have to reverse the conversation to go to it. And they made a bad VR game. Speaking of VR games, played a great VR game this week. It's not an official game. It's a mod for Doom 3 for the Quest. And you've played a little bit of it too, James?
Yep. So I've loaded it up, and I haven't got too far because I still have VOM problems.
Do you?
Yeah. Even though I think that it's quite good.
And you spend a lot of time in VR.
Yeah. But when I play VR, I tend to not move. So
as in you physically don't move? Are you like seated?
Oh no, as in like I very rarely use locomotion.
Okay.
I always use teleport. Because my body just is, I do not think I'll ever get used to it.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah,
locomotion destroys me.
Yeah, and this doesn't have teleport, which is fair because it's just a user mod.
Just a mod of Doom 3, yeah.
But what they've done is very, very impressive.
It's very cool. The weirdest thing is by default, it does the cutscenes, which means you start the game in a seated position, looking through someone else's eyes from a weird angle, and you can't do anything.
So what they've done, I found it pretty interesting because what they've done is they've gotten all of the cutscenes and then said, right, well, we're just going to put the player wherever they've positioned the camera.
Yeah,
which is cool because you can kind of look around a little bit, and you can kind of always get like a bit of a because they never intended you to be able to look around from these perspectives. So things like they wanted the top-down shot of a ship. Well, you're suddenly facing forward, looking down at
just
at
cut
ship.
to. Yeah. I'm looking through this now. Suddenly, I'm in space, looking at a thing. Then I'm at a low angle, looking at land.
It's a weird default choice. So I very quickly disabled that and put it into projected mode.
Yeah, which just makes it a flat thing you're watching in front of you.
Okay, cool. I can watch it. I've been very impressed with how they've handled all of the interactions. Because remember with Doom 3, like a big thing when it came out was the idea of usable interfaces in the world. That was like a pretty unseen at that point. And they've done a good job.
Sin might have had some.
Maybe. But they've done a good job at like you can go in and just tap the screens and they do things.
Screen, push the button. It's not like you have to be close enough. You can't reach out. You have to walk up. But basically, one hand has the flashlight, one hand has the gun.
So immediately it's better than the base version because you can have both torchlight and gun, which I immediately just started putting together, like
really
like cop style.
Yeah.
Oh, I started doing all sorts of weird things.
Were you holding a flashlight in reverse, or is it default forwards?
It defaults forward.
I was
reverse hand hold.
I was like someone was talking to me. I'd put the light underneath them to make them all spooky, and then I just started holding the gun next to their head. It's like I just want to see what this looks like. I look like a psychopath.
But like for the reasons that Doom 3 was kind of criticized when it came out, with things like that you don't have the massive amount of monsters, so there'd be like one or two things you're fighting at a time. It really works in the favor of VR. Like
the fact it's a bit slower.
Yeah. It's like the fights a bit more take some cover. Like you're like ducking behind things and getting out and shooting. It's like this accidental, really good VR game.
and because VR is more about body awareness of the world around you, the monster closets didn't annoy me as much. Because I just have 3D audio around me. I hear something's just come out behind me. I turn around and just shoot it in the head. And it's... I really like it.
Yeah. Oh, it's like...
It's not perfect.
No, there's some things I fixed. Like the cursor in the title screen is very jittery. It doesn't have the... forward correction when you look, like like some 3D games will be you move forward, but if you look to the left you'll kind of start to veer. Like it doesn't have any of that stuff. There's little tweaks I want them to make.
What do you mean by the starting to veer thing?
Oh, so it's like if you look forward you move forward, but if I'm holding forward and I look slightly to the right, some games will just sort of like you can use your head for a little bit of steering.
Yeah, that's how I play.
That doesn't do that in Doom 3.
Yeah, it does. Maybe you're just being more gentle than I am.
Oh, maybe.
I just hold forward and I rotate my body.
No, or maybe it's an option as well.
Yeah.
Well,
I haven't changed anything for that.
Or maybe it's body, because I'm just doing
maybe
head.
James is just bad at VR.
Maybe there's something in there to do it. That, I didn't realize. But like these are like there's just little things in there they can fix up, and it's just like a really good VR game. Like, surprisingly, just like kind of works out of the box.
Yep,
Yeah.
and they're going to keep working on it. So you still need to own Doom 3 separately.
Yeah.
But if you have a quest, you can download it on SideQuest and stick it on.
Yeah.
And the default mode is pretty damn good.
Runs really smoothly.
Yeah. I did you have all things like, I don't care about the story.
Oh, I skipped it.
I eventually found the skip button.
Yeah, once I found the skip
good.
button, I'm just get past all this.
Yeah, and the only real gameplay issue I had was an imp ran up to me and I held my shotgun out because I like to hold it far because that feels like what Ash would do. And the shotgun went through them, so when I fired, the bullet was behind them. Which also is good. Like, it's, you're modelling where that is, but you just shouldn't let the gun go through them because they're a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, very cool for a mod. If someone actually developed a game in that engine, in that style, it also finally let me see how much of a cheat that flashlight is.
Oh, as in just having it all the time available?
Oh, no. Just how the light works.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, you're like, okay. It's very atmospheric. You're lighting that up, and you hold it up to a wall, and you can see light on the wall behind it and everything. But in normal mode, you just have a fixed position. And this, you move your head. Hey, the full light's gone all the way through the wall. It was a trick. But of course, it wasn't that generation. But yeah, I mean, the engine runs really nice. It looks good. In fact, it's probably one of the better looking Quest games in many ways.
Now what game I want? I want Riddick.
Ooh.
That would be... There's a lot of mobility in that game.
Bomb City.
I don't think you do. Next up, you'll be telling me you want Mirror's Edge.
Oh, no. Even thinking about that makes me feel ill.
Have you played it? It was one of the really early VR releases. It's like a web slinging type. It wasn't web slinging. That's basically what it was. It was just like these floating islands, and you had basically ropes attached to nothing.
I've seen it. I haven't tried because I've always been scared.
One of the first things I ever played in VR on my original Vive, and oh boy, that was immediately falling over.
One of the very early games I played was a hack of Skyrim, running on the DK1.
Yeah.
I bet that was good.
Good times.
That like 15 minutes was the maximum amount of time I could spend in it, and then I would need to lie down for at least half an hour. Yeah.
You just need to sometimes. Also, while we're on this track, James and I went to Zero Latency and played some Zero Latency.
How was it?
It was mixed.
We tried to suggest it for our little office team Christmas thing, and our boss went, "Nope, we're gonna go to a restaurant instead." And everyone was like, "But why?"
Why not both?
Yeah, I know, right?
Why not go?
Budget.
Why not go there?
Budget reasons.
Because of where it's located, there are a bunch of like microbreweries in like 2 blocks from it.
I think what happened was our boss wanted to go to this restaurant and found a way to make it on work money.
So we played a robot shooting game called Singularity, which is very interesting. So first up, the hardware is like, it's very thought out and mature, but it's also old.
Yeah.
So good news on that, because afterwards I've also just done an interview with the CEO, which will be going on Z Games next Wednesday, but then I'll be publishing the full interview online if you're interested in it. The gist of there is new hardware, which is out some places, and Brisbane will be upgraded later this year, hopefully in the next few months. So that'll take them up to their newer stuff, which is better tracking, because James and friend Toby especially were like, this tracking doesn't feel as good as what I've got at home.
Yeah, and there's also a tiny bit of latency when you move forward.
Which is a shame, considering their name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I had some kind of nausea problems.
So I'm hoping that fixes that, because it was, whilst it's an iteration on the original stuff that it launched with back in 2015, it's still that base technology, which is at its core PlayStation moves strapped to a helmet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's improving with that. Other than that, the game was, it was 8-player, but not really doing anything with it, just like big shooting galleries, taking things down. What was funny was just a few levels they had which didn't have any enemies in them as such. And one was, walk down this slope.
Oh no.
There was no need to walk down the slope as well. There was no, it was literally just walk down a ramp. And so, obviously, you get that immediate disconnect of, I'm not actually going down. I closed my eyes and just walked until I got to the end.
And the other one was going up a curved wall, like you walk on there.
Yeah.
Now, I thought both these things were great because they're just funhouse gimmicks. It's like, oh look, you're in the wavy mirror room now. It's like try to walk across this platform. It's wacky.
Digital equivalent of the carnival stuff.
Exactly. There were mixed results. James was less enthused by the gimmickiness as I was with those.
Yeah, because I kept comparing it back to the one that I played in Melbourne years ago, and maybe it's just because
Engineerium, I think it ended up being called.
But I remember like it used like that kind of like walk up the wall to kind of like basically disorientate you with a split group to reach the point where like you're standing on different planes.
Yeah,
and so that was cool. Like where this was just sort of like, oh, we're gonna walk up a thing. And it felt like it was just ticking the box because they need to have that particular experience in there.
I remember in like 2016 or so, probably watching a talk, the company trying to start up a thing about like all the little tricks you can use for like real world space VR stuff in terms of creating larger spaces in the digital world from a smaller space in the warehouse. Little tricks like, you know, having people walk on a slight curve to create longer corridors than you would be able to.
I think sometimes those things can be quite well. There's actually a game for the Quest. I think it's called like Storm in a Teacup or something. And you can play it in almost any size space, and it'll give you an infinite walking space. But if you do it in like a 2 meter by 2 meter, what it is,
I think it's like Tea with Gods or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. You just end up constantly walking in a circle. Because it's like, turn left, now turn left, now turn left.
Because it's good, like basically it'll look at like the area that you're in, and then
figure out,
and then kind of generate like kind of geometry, so you can always kind of walk through it.
And the bigger the space, the more interesting it can be. But when it's small, it's hilarious because you just go in a circle the whole time. But I think that stuff is more difficult to calculate if there's a group of people.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's difficult. You can do some things where you split people off in different parts of the room, and they can look like they're further away even though they're closer because there's a split in the level. But I think once you start faking movement to people, there's a limit of like, oh no,
there's a limit.
This person lagged back so far. Now they're in the front of everyone else.
It's kind of funny because I've been rewatching a lot of Star Trek, like Next Gen, and they actually mention it because with the holodeck, they do address the fact that there's these large spaces in a tiny room, and they talk about that kind of thing. It's like, oh, they just sort of like, like play with perspective and things and kind of use the space to make it. I mean, by the time you get to season 7, they've given up on that, and the holodeck is very big.
It just works.
But I thought it was kind of cool that early on they did actually try to address it. It's like, how do you have these big spaces in the holodeck?
I just assume magic. No. It's Star Trek. It's science.
What they do is once you're in the virtual world, they physically shrink your body down because that's easier to do.
That's true. That would be the thing to do, wouldn't it? It'd actually be just teleport them to being
easier
tiny.
to shrink the person than it is to
that should have been their reason.
What they really don't show you is as soon as you walk in there, it fires a dart into your neck, and everyone in that room is unconscious.
Straight to brain.
Good. That's how that works. Yes, and the other thing that I talked about a few things as Tim Roos was the CEO. We were also talking about the upcoming Far Cry game. So that's actually being developed by Ubisoft, but using their technology because it's exclusive to their facilities.
Because they do a lot of in-house development, don't they?
Yes, almost everything, to the exception of one other project, which is this Scary Girl project, which is more for kids. But it still looks kind of fun. I quite like the look of it. Because, I like more colourful thing anyway. But so they only launched 5 years ago, so 6 years ago now, and they've got 6 games out. So they do a lot, and they're shorter experiences because of what it is. But hey, that's a lot of dev and a lot of it, especially when it's hardware based, and they've got 44 locations now. It's like
it's pretty big.
It's a pretty fast expansion.
Yeah. I'm impressed that they managed to survive COVID.
Yeah, well, I think. I mean, a lot of the world didn't do a lot with their actual restrictions. I didn't actually delve into that issue, partly because I think everyone's kind of sick of talking about it to a degree, but also it's actually a super simple business to do with restrictions. Because it's like, oh look, you're in the warehouse. There's maximum 8 of you. There's literally a proximity alarm that goes off if you get too close to another player. All the equipment can be very easily sterilized in between groups and everything. And all the groups are separate. So okay, you actually can run this business pretty COVID safe. But I think it would be more public perception that would hurt them than the actual physical problems of it. But yeah, I'm hoping that I can go back when they've got the new stuff and Far Cry there.
I feel like I was very spoiled by owning a Quest.
Yes.
And when you compare it to that experience, it's like modern tech versus something from 5 years ago. So I really want to go back once they've got the new stuff. Yeah.
And I mean, and the thing still comes down to, you want to go do a VR experience with 8 people, or you're going to get 8 quests together.
It's not a lot of choices.
Like maybe we could wrangle it, maybe, and then we got to find a game that actually supports it in a space.
At that point, we're just playing VR chat.
Yeah, kind of. So it still has a niche, I think, for a while, because I think whilst I think VR will eventually tip that point. So there was a big conversation on Reddit this week, which was Half-Life Alyx isn't getting enough mainstream discussion about it. It's like, because it's not a mainstream game.
Yeah.
It's like, didn't you notice?
Yeah. Well, I do need to I need to take my Quest 1 round and lend it to Mum.
Ah, yes.
Because she was kind of hinting at, after playing the Quest 2, she's like, oh, you've got another one, don't you? And I want to do it as a bit of an experiment where I can just like factory reset it, no guidance, and then go, here you go, figure it out, and actually come back a week later and see if it's sitting off in the corner somewhere.
She bricks it because she just keeps posting pro-Trump stuff.
I guess Trump can't play his Quest anymore.
That was my favorite hard drive article. Perfect. I don't think I can do any sort of pointless segues now.
No,
I think we're just sort of stuck. I just kept adding
stuff
that we're playing. So other stuff we've all been playing. Is there anything that any of us are super excited about that we should talk about now?
That we've all been playing?
No, just anything.
I played through There Is No Game.
Yes.
I played through the whole thing. And so There Is No Game was based off a Flash game. I'm pretty sure it was Flash. Might not have been Flash. It was a free game.
Free Flash, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Well, free games still exist.
Yeah. Actually,
the new Strong Bad game, it came and went. Flash.
That
wasn't even a joke.
A free thing I played a while ago, and it was a fun little experience. It's like this little thing of like, it might have been a game jam thing. It's like There Is No Game, and it's just like you basically messing with the narrator who is the game to try and find the game, which isn't there, or is it? But this thing is free.
It's just a rip-off of Stanley Parable.
And so they've got like now they did I think it was a Kickstarter. Anyway, they did something. And there is now a paid, sequel to it. And it's called There Is No Game, Wrong Dimension. So it's a much more fleshed out experience. I think it's not super long. I think I finished it in maybe about 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, I think that's what it took me.
Yeah. I kind of liked it and kind of had problems with it at the same time. I think the
Kickstarter was unsuccessful.
Yeah.
They did it anyway.
Yeah, they still did the game. Yeah.
I like the premise. The writing is mostly pretty good, though I'm pretty sure the writer is not a native English speaker.
Yes, English second language.
Yeah, and so not all the English jokes really land. And that's fine. Like, it's not native language.
It's good for that. Like, if you're going to use that as a caveat. It's still pretty good.
Just like Cyberpunk.
The problem I had with it was mostly the puzzle design. Because while it's got some really cool stuff, like some kind of interesting ways it kind of plays around with how you interacting with different games or different game genres and things, it falls into this trap of giving me the hint way before I need it. So most of the time I'm playing it, and then the narrator will just basically give away the solution, and it's been 30 seconds.
It's really frustrating.
Yeah, it's like, and because none of the puzzles are that complicated, and it just sort of robs you of finding the solution. Unfortunately, sometimes those hints end up being really critical to solving a problem, because it's either it's giving you a much needed hint which you really need to solve the puzzle, or it's just spoiling it for you. It's kind of what it does. And there was one puzzle near the end where I walked away from my computer just as I was giving the hint. I had to go I think the cat was doing a shit, and I needed to go deal with that. And so I walked away from my computer, and I could hear it in the background as I was walking away, like, oh, it's saying something. but I couldn't hear it. And unfortunately, that little piece of information was very critical to me solving it. And so I ended up like stuck for about half an hour before I just used the built-in hint system, which is actually a pretty good hint system. That was the only time I needed it because I was just basically stumped. And it was one of those things where it's like, oh, I actually had the solution. It just wasn't 100% right to what it needed to be doing. So it was like, like I kind of had it, but yeah.
Sure, James, you had it.
But I think
you're doing great, buddy.
Yeah, I think it's a fun experience. I enjoyed it. Like I played through the whole thing, and if I get through a thing, it can't be that bad.
I've got through some pretty terrible things.
I just wish the puzzle design was a little bit better.
You want a hint system between that and something that doesn't give you any guidance, like Tobias and the Dark Scepters.
It has a hint system in it, and it's, if I remember correctly, it's a multi-level hint
Yeah,
system,
no, it's really good. It's like here's a little suggestion answer.
Yeah,
like it's so that
it doesn't necessarily need the narrator to be given.
No.
Sam, you stopped me from trying to trick James into talking about Tobias and the Dark Scepters again.
It's fine.
Tobias and the Dark Scepters?
You don't remember Tobias and the Dark Scepters?
I have to play both sides, Paul. I can't just always be on yours.
The game the solid developer made it click and play for 10 years.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what it was called.
And it was so the puzzles you really needed help with because it was just like each screen was a totally new puzzle you'd never see again.
Each was a different game that he made over a series of 11 years, and it was
best game ever.
It was actually pretty good. Like it gets the very nature of it gets very, very meta. I actually thought the story was pretty cute. Like it actually, like I didn't mind it. I think just if you go into it not expecting a good adventure game, but a fun little experience, I think it delivers on that.
Okay. I did want to play it actually.
Yeah.
Maybe
I think you'd enjoy it.
Maybe just turn the sound down a bit. Don't talk to me, narrator.
Well,
only tell me the funny things.
The guy clearly knows adventure games really well. Like some of the references he makes, I think you'll appreciate.
There's some good.
Like it's like
next to the forks and spoons.
Not quite. That's probably even a little bit more abstracted than that you'll appreciate.
Get ye flask.
No get ye flask reference.
Get ye cock handling gloves.
It's got that one.
There's nothing like a weird in-joke that never made sense in the first place, repeated without any context whatsoever. Anyway, so I guess in games that are mine, see, there's stuff that I should probably still talk about, but not really pushing. The only thing that is a bit pertinent, because it does touch on some other news as well, I played some Monster Hunter Rise, the demo. And that was of note because it managed to bring down Nintendo servers worldwide.
I noticed that.
So popular.
Yeah, I tried to get it and I could not connect to the servers.
I mean, 6 hours later it was all back up and you could go and download it all you wanted. That game is very interesting. I have not played very much and I'm not a Monster Hunter fan. I'm not an expert. I am a fan, but only because of World. I never could get into any games before that. Now this is sort of takes a lot from World. Mm-hmm. A lot of the ease of use. The world is not cut into segments again like the old ones. It's now a big open space. In fact, you spend more time in the open world than even in World. You kind of don't have to go back, well, as far as I've seen, you can sort of do a lot. You can change your equipment setup and everything easily on the map and stuff like that.
Did you enjoy the weird Nintendo restriction?
Oh, the you can only do 30 missions or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I'd do 30 if I bought the game. Thanks, Nintendo. That's a lot of missions for me to do. But there's only like 4 missions you can do, so you'd be repeating them. But that is what you do in Monster Hunter. Yep. But new stuff-wise, so now you've got your character, your hunter. You've got a palico and you've got a dog. And the dog helps you fight, and you can ride the dog. And you can be friends with the dog. And you're also Spider-Man. You've also got special strings that attached to nothing. You just shoot them out and you just, I'm swinging on nothing in midair. It's great. And you can shoot yourself forward, you can aim and shoot at something, or you can shoot yourself up. And you sort of swing around the whole place and jump on your dog and ride it around, and eventually there's monsters to fight. And frankly, by that point, I didn't really care about that. I was really enjoying the mobility and shooting myself around. It seems really fun. It looks really good on the Switch. If I go back to World, I go like, oh yeah, World does look better, because this is like, a Switch game is going to be not the same. But for what it does,
it looked like it was holding a pretty solid 30.
Yeah, it runs solidly. The textures are really nicely detailed. The world is designed in such a way that I didn't really feel like I was lacking anything. I can't speak for like monster behaviors and stuff like that because I'm not, as I say, I'm not a Monster Hunter expert. But from what I could tell, it seemed pretty good and seemed more in line with a world than what I've played with previous ones.
I'm glad that it didn't feel like a world downgrade.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't.
Yeah, like it feels like, and I guess like because they've moved the aesthetic away from it a bit, it just kind of felt like, oh, it's a different thing. Like it didn't really feel like, oh, I've got like the gimped version of this other one.
No, it's certainly doing its own thing, and as I said, it adds a shitload, especially to mobility, which is,
yeah, especially for a Switch game where you probably want shorter sessions, having that extra mobility.
I mean, I don't know with Monster Hunter people if that's really going to be a point.
I very much remember spending hours and hours playing it on my PSP in one go, so I'm not sure short stats.
I don't think that is a focus of the design changes. No, just hit it with your sword.
I think
for
the session
40
until
minutes.
your battery alert goes off, and then you plug it in and keep playing.
It's like those people you see that like professionally played Pokemon Go and they've got a bike with the 100 phones on it and they've got battery packs everywhere. It's like, oh, I gotta get it. Speaking of Pokemon Go, did you play Rise?
I haven't. No, I've got it downloaded.
Yeah. I remember it's a demo. Get the demo. See if you're interested. But speaking of Pokemon Go, Minecraft Earth.
Okay, yeah.
It's cancelled.
Gone.
They're taking it down. And when I was supposed to, did it ever come out? I don't know if it did. I think it was still in a beta, wasn't it?
I don't know. I wonder what The Witcher is looking on with their Witcher Go.
Does the Harry Potter one still exist?
I think it's still there.
Probably quietly making more money than we can imagine.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. It's just like all those things.
I feel like, especially what Witcher's doing at the moment, it feels like they're really late to the party on this one. Like a
little bit.
Yeah, like I don't know if too many of the Witcher core audience are going to be thinking I really want a Go version of this.
Look, you just need to remember that Witcher audience is big enough and obsessed enough that Cyberpunk, as one of the hottest messes in history, still launched with one of the biggest launches in history. So I think there's a lot of people that really do care about The Witcher and like to imagine Henry Cavill is shirtless in their bath.
Just call me out, why don't you?
He seems like a friendly fella.
Yeah.
I bet.
Seems like a lovely person.
Yeah, I bet I could have some fun with Cavill. Yeah. I mean, he does play WoW. Oh, I played WoW!
He did.
Oh, shit. Do we
You've
talk
got
about
more in common than you think. Okay, so before we turn this into the WoW podcast.
No. I'm going to try and write a thing and I'm going to try and be entertaining about it.
Okay.
Long story short, no, it did not win me over.
I'm shocked.
Yes.
I'm completely shocked. Though maybe you need to jump on with Cheryl and I playing because we've been playing quite a bit, and it's just really just.
I still need to.
Maybe you just
try
need to
with
play more.
Look. When I was done after the intro, which was the thing that was supposed to sell me this new intro, and I'm like, if this was an intro on a standalone game, no one would finish it, and they'd throw it in the fucking trash because it's shit.
It's alright.
It's 100% correct.
Like, what's supposed to be good about this intro? Anyway, I had fun running a dungeon.
That it's still better than the previous onboarding.
Yes, yeah. The onboarding is better, and I have played the game more than I have in the past. But when I was out of that and I could do a dungeon, which took way longer to set up and get into than I was hoping, but still, like literally we were standing around for about an hour and a half trying to get everyone in the right position.
Yeah, I think it's because we weren't quite at the right level yet. It was just we weren't quite, Once you pass that point, it's much easier enough now.
And I ran a dungeon, and I had fun, but I had fun because I had 5 friends on Discord and we were chatting. So I still haven't been sold on the game itself because we can do that with anything. We can load up Postal 1 multiplayer and have a good time.
The last 3 months I played WoW was 3 months of me logging in to talk to people and actually not go anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and because I'm probably not going to get into the social aspect of it, because the social aspect is one I'm bringing with me, not one I'm discovering in game.
Yeah, you can do it in any game.
Yeah, it's probably not going to win
in better games.
Yeah, I can do it in Deep Rock Galactic.
But I think I think the difference is though, WoW is more about you can play it so casually, like it's not.
Oh yeah, no thought at all.
Well, but that's kind of why it works. Like the way Cheryl and I have been playing it, it's like she's really into the
you haven't even played Deep Rock Galactic.
No, but I'm pretty sure it requires more.
Just put it on hazard difficulty 1. It's easy. You just shoot the. You don't even have to shoot the loot box. You can walk up and pet them. Hello. Because
they've got some stuff in there now which is working pretty well. With Cheryl's like she's pulled ahead of me in level, but they got this like level sync thing or quest sync, and so she's really interested in the pets. and the pet battles, and I'm just sort of there just trying to level up and get hunter pets. And we just sort of like quest in the same rough area, and then we kind of do some stuff, and then she'll fight some stuff, and I'll go do this, and then kind of come back. And
a friend stabbed me, and I turned into a hag. But the hag was so much better modeled and animated than my main character. I was like, can I stay like this? This is great. Dance, hag, dance. This is the best. So I want to try and write a thing that's not just me bitching, because I really did go in just I didn't want to just go in hating. I wanted to go in and just feel like, look, let's just like it for what it is, because I want to like things that people like. I don't want to just be a curmudgeon about bloody WoW and football and I don't know what's something else I dislike. James's furrowed brow.
Fishing.
Fucking fishing. Nah,
did you have an opinion on my new piercing?
Yeah, didn't I say them? What was? God,
you told me Lisa's opinion, which was. I think she said it was stupid. Then she saw it and went,
"Oh, that's not so bad."
That's not so bad.
No, what was?
Piercing. Oh, you got one of those.
Well, one of them was like, "Oh, so you'll let a stranger penetrate you?" and something else. I don't know. It's fine. That's good. Actually, I mean, I probably was going to ask him in private, but now it's come. I think James has a pierced ear now because he's a cool pirate fella.
Yeah.
But I also noticed that your mother-in-law got her ears pierced for the first time.
That was part of the were saying. Well,
that's what I was saying. It's were you going for her, or was she going for you?
No,
or was it a pact? Was it a blood pact?
It was more of a pact. Well, because it's something I've wanted to had done for a while, and it was more me doing it. So she did it as well. Was sort of like the motivator of like, I want to do it, but it's like this extra oomph to get it done. Because apparently this is some generational thing, maybe particularly with Chinese culture. Getting ears pierced is not done, and so it's taken a long time to convince her to do it. Like in Western culture, it's like, you get your kids' ears pierced
2 years old?
For 6 months. You get those ears pierced. So for her, it was a big deal. But yeah, that was part of it. It was to kind of
I want to get my cheeks pierced so I can have dimples.
Little dimples?
My sister used to have one of the Monroe piercings. It was kind of strange.
Yeah.
But I also have a friend from high school who has like 62 piercings at last count.
That's a lot of piercings.
Slightly insane.
Do they jingle when they move?
They're all in different spots, so no.
Damn it. That's what I want.
There's no interaction between any of the piercings, but some of them are on the knuckles, which is...
On the knuckles?
There's some odd spots you can get pierced these days.
The place had it done. They very cleverly, if it's your birthday month, give it half price. And so I think they do that, so it becomes like almost like this annual thing where people go, "Oh, it's my birthday month this year. I'll go get this other extra piercing." That's very clever.
Smart. A loyalty system.
Yeah. So you said you wanted it done for a while. So what initially was appealing to you about it is only on one side, isn't it?
Yeah.
A one-sided piercing high on the ear.
Well, when I was younger, I used to want it just in the lobe.
Yes.
But
the traditional.
Yeah. But I don't know, just seeing, like, looking on Instagram at different spots, like I thought, I like that spot. And also part of it was I don't have the best track record with needles.
It's true.
So
was that you practicing?
Well, no, part of it was also kind of a bit of exposure therapy to that.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm practicing.
Yeah.
So if you go back every year.
Well, because I have, I don't think I'm getting too personal here. James has some issues with medical things, and he's about to have a baby with his wife, and she and I were talking about the very possibility that James may not be conscious for some of the birth.
There's a very good chance I will pass out during that birth.
And I didn't have a good solution. I said, like, Cheryl, I don't know how this would work, but in an emergency, I'd step in, but I don't see how that would help. Like, you'd have to call me, and I'd have to, like, it'd be done by then. It's like, the offer's there. I don't think I could wake James up. Or get some stiff and salts.
I'll be up quick.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. It's all on her end. You're fine. You've just got to listen to the James, you got to wait for the begging. The begging is the part that you got to really deal with.
Well, I'm waiting for the accusations. I'm waiting for the "it's all my fault."
I didn't have much of that. I only got,
that's the bit I'm waiting for.
I only got yelled at twice, and one was stop fucking singing.
That wasn't at the birth. That was just
just last week.
I just try to motivate people with a bit of a song. I mean, Jesus. And the other one was just pushing on her back or something. She wasn't particularly angry at me during birth, so Cheryl might not blame you.
We'll see.
But I can guarantee the begging. Now back to the pregnancy podcast. All good. Okay, the only other bit of news I had here before we jump into the stuff was that a really cool article came out. Jason Schreier, I think someone else will help write it as well. Basically, sort of a dialogue with a lot of the founders of Xbox and leads and everything, talking about early Xbox. And one of the key points that came out of it, not the biggest point, but just a funny one, was that they tried to buy Nintendo. And I believe the response was, in the article, they laughed in our faces.
Well, because that was pre-Wii still, though, isn't it? Xbox was post-Wii. Sorry, no, Wii was post-Xbox,
yes,
I mean. Yeah. So they didn't have all the money in the world, but they still had...
They're still Nintendo.
They're still Nintendo and had most of the money in the world.
Yeah, they have no interest in being bought. No. But I do like, because it also doesn't seem very Japanese to laugh in someone's face. So they do that later when you've left. But yeah, it's quite a long article. It's got a lot of tidbits and everything. So that's on Bloomberg. That's where Jason works now. So check that out if you want to hear some old history.
How much of it is it being a Dreamcast 2?
No, not really much in that at all. No, I bet it is a Dreamcast 2. I love the Dreamcast. It's pretty good. Okay, let's start talking about the year ahead.
Stuff that's coming.
Now, I'm not just doing a big list. There will be a bit of list doing, and we might just, if we get bored, just start reading through stuff.
Much smaller lists.
Yeah. I put a big list of everything that I was interested in some way.
My list was moderate.
I've got a small list.
Well, that's good. Generally, before we get in games specifically, what are like some other sort of gaming related things we're looking forward to this year?
I guess I'm looking forward to the studios getting back to business as usual, or like because
is that a this year thing?
Well, no, I think this year they've adapted.
They finished adapting.
Yeah. So last year was sort of like, oh shit, we need to change to be remote.
Last year was the pivot year.
Yeah.
This year is now we know what we're doing.
So from the industry as a whole, I'm looking forward to them getting back in the groove of it, and also the kind of the longer reaching kind of impact that COVID's going to have of more work from home and stuff like that.
Sam?
I mean, you say gaming related. It's not digital, but I am eagerly awaiting my new D&D table, which is going to be nice.
I'm not hearing the word playdate from any of you. It's definitely coming out this year.
Also playdate.
Oh yeah, playdate.
Yay, my crank console.
Because I assume you have some kind of alert set up for this thing.
Yeah.
So I actually forgot it existed.
So the moment...
I think about it every day.
You really got to make sure I don't miss out on one of these things. So either order 2 immediately,
okay.
but I have a feeling it'll be 1.
It'll probably be limited to 1.
You need to let me know straight away.
Yeah, it'll be like when I see a big box on Facebook, and I see you're in a video game or something. It's like every messaging service I'm sending James, copy of Elite 2, You might want a copy of Elite 2.
Oh, I bought that copy of Elite 2.
I'd probably be interested in it. Yeah.
I went through. I tidied up some of my big box buys over the last. Yeah. It's really been about the last maybe 6 months. Actually, it's really COVID. It's probably the point in which I started buying more of these things. I bought a lot. I was going back through, like, because I have a lot of these boxes just sort of loose in a cupboard. And I thought I should probably put these small boxes into a bigger box so they're not just all sitting around.
A big box.
Yeah, some big box for big boxes. And yeah, I bought a few things.
Yeah, I keep seeing things and going like, shit, I want that. And they're like, do I? No, I don't. It's like let's like the game. Do I actually want the box? Not really. I did throw out so many for a reason.
I think I am reaching a point though now where I'm like, I'm getting
more selective.
Yeah.
You're reaching the big box peak.
Well, it's also a bit the market's starting to kind of mature a bit now, and things just getting a bit pricey. Like I've been saying it for a while, but now it's like they're starting to cement a bit more, and the bargains are getting harder and harder to get because the people that are really into it are doing all kinds of crazy shit to kind of like find it really quickly and really early. So I mean, a big part of the fun is like, you know, going to the op shops or like, you know, finding these little bargains around.
I got James a copy of Civilization 2 behind him now.
So $4, that's a good price.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Yeah.
I there was an Under a Killing Moon the other day. I'm like, oh, I want that, and that was one of my like, what am I going to do with this?
One day I'll get my.
I have it on GOG. I can play it on GOG.
Yeah. Oh, while we're on this, I got Exodus.
Yes.
Yeah, and which I guess is of not really questionable legality.
No, it's just illegal.
It is just flat out illegal.
But
I downloaded it.
But it's fun.
And so what Exodus is a project to archive every DOS game.
Pirate.
Every archive. archive. Every DOS
pirate ship.
And so there are 7,000 plus games in this archive. It weighs in at about 560 gig.
Yeah, I almost asked if you wanted me to download it and bring it tonight instead.
Yeah, well, I have downloaded it. It just took a little while.
I wasn't sure how long it would take.
No, it took like a day or so, and I was throttling it so I didn't kill the internet for everyone.
For everyone in Australia.
And yeah, so I've sort of only just started exploring that, and it is a fun thing to explore.
There's a lot of stuff.
Well, what's cool about this project is that they have catalogued it incredibly well.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, I do just use the Internet Archive sometimes and just go, it's like, wow, I can just load up games. I forget I can just go do this. But yeah, well catalogued, good, well tagged.
All the manuals.
Yep.
All the different like launch modes for certain things. Like, so yeah, if you're playing a game, you can just sort of right click on the entry, go, open manual, and there it is, scan through there, open hint book. Like, it's all the supporting material they've tried to find as well. You can go in and go, I want to find all the games that are CGA. And I can just go through one and look at this, and like I'll be the one like, oh, shit, I forgot about that one.
Have you loaded up Space Dude?
No, but I don't know if was that DOS.
Yeah.
Okay, then it should be in there.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I sorted it by year, and there was actually like stuff that came out 2020. So they've any kind of new DOS games, they've kind of like added in there as well.
It feels like those people are cheating, trying to get exposure. It's like I know in our press emails, I don't know the name of the game, but it's a new Game Boy game coming out.
Yeah, every now and then I see someone.
We're releasing the ROM.
They're like working on Game Boy or SNES.
Okay, and also you should release it on a platform people can play.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I was surprised to find in this collection was Retro City Rampage.
Oh yeah, he did a DOS port.
It was a DOS demake of it, and so that got injected into the collection. I mean, legality aside, the stuff that like I really wanted was just like I had an archive that I kept, and it had about 1,500 or so games in it, and so that's fine. It's like the kind of the big hitters of like what I remember. But when it's just got that breadth of stuff, like, and it's so well organized, all the metadata's there, everything has screenshots. Like, it's like this is like the 5th iteration of this project.
Yeah, it's very much like if you play Monkey Island, they've sort of backported every version into the same version, so you can load it up like every single graphics mode, every single audio mode.
Yeah, so if you want to play EGA version of Monkey Island, like it's there. It's
just very accessible.
Yeah, and it's all been wrapped up in a launcher, so you just load it up.
Is helpful.
Yep, and everything loads up, everything works. I was playing strip poker before I came. It's a CGA strip poker. I couldn't get a blow the blouse. I started just betting big because I'm like, oh come on, just get them big numbers.
This is like when I played Night at the Inventory.
Just couldn't get a naked. But yeah, it's just kind of cool. Like, it's loaded up, and there it is. Yeah, cool project. This not very legal. Also very big.
Yeah, I would just remind people that GOG exists.
Yes.
So if you get this, and I do recommend you get it, if there is something that you're actually playing through and doing, go and see if it's on GOG.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, you can't always guarantee that any money is going to any of the developers, but it is. It's like your only way you can possibly show any support to anyone involved in any of those projects anymore. And then maybe just look up people and see if they're still working.
Worst case scenario, the money goes to GOG. Which is still a kind of okay thing to do.
I mean, after after Cyberpunk, what do we...
We'll just slip that one aside.
They're separate.
Yeah, they're totally separate.
Yes. Okay, so now that we've had our side division, let's go through some games. I assume that's what we've mostly looked at.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm looking to hopefully get some better examples this year of what this next generation can provide. Because I think so far, with a few exceptions on the Sony side, it's been underwhelming of what this new gen is.
You mean from like a technical perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I would like to see what Halo Infinite becomes.
Yes, that one's on my list of stuff that I'm pretty keen to check out.
And
it's more because I don't know what it's going to be.
I only give it 50-50 chance of coming out this year.
Yeah.
I think it's almost at that level of a project where partly also COVID stuff getting in the way of stuff, but also they're so afraid of it not being amazing.
The last thing they want is to cyberpunk it.
Yeah.
That is now an adjective.
It's just the verb.
It's a verb, sorry, yeah.
Because if they were just going to do a quick let's polish the graphics in level 3, I mean, it would have been like, oh, we were just delaying to quarter 1, but no, it's delayed till quarter 3, I think, without a firm release date.
Isn't it really nice
touch and go.
They didn't take any pre-orders for that game, so they could do that?
Pre-order is dangerous.
Yep.
Sure is.
Okay, so let's just go around. Sam, give us a game you're interested in.
Well, the top one that I've bolded is Silksong.
Oh yes, the Hollow Knight follow-up.
Yeah, I've gone back and finished Hollow Knight now.
Which was DLC, and then got bigger and bigger, and it's now basically a sequel.
Part of it is because I just really want more of that game, and part of it is because I just also really want to support those devs, because they are fantastic people.
Well, Hollow Knight was one of those things that, for the cost,
it was just...
Didn't they give a free expansion or something?
Yeah, they get a bunch of free stuff.
There's a lot of content, a bunch of free content, and then Silksong was supposed to have been DLC.
Game,
Now it's a new game, but they're still giving it to people who backed it for
DLC.
DLC.
I think that's how people still get the full game. And that's the thing. It was supposed to be a DLC, and now it's like, nah, it's a totally different game. But you backed us back in the day, and we're successful enough that we're just going to eat the cost and give it away. And honestly, those people probably end up buying on a second platform anyway because they're fans, and it's a really, really successful game. So I can't imagine it's not going to be a great game. But it's also nice that it's quite different from Hollow Knight. A lot faster.
Enough changes going on.
Yeah, I was listening to some changes to the structure, but I can't remember what it was now because I was trying not to get too much information because I just know I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
So why delve in too deep at this point? James, what are you looking forward to?
One that I'm surprisingly excited about is Darktide.
Oh, Vermintide Darktide.
Yeah, Vermin Dark.
Just say it's not called Vermintide Darktide. It's just Warhammer 40k Vermintide Darktide. Fuck.
Yeah.
But it is. It's a Vermintide sequel, but in a different dark context. Yeah.
I think because when we were last playing Vermintide 2,
it's a very good game.
I had a really fun time.
Very enjoyable.
Playing that. And just thematically, I prefer 40k. So I still like.
This is your Catholic guilt.
It's my Catholic. What?
What I like is you're agreeing and then stopping halfway through to recontextualize what I was talking about.
It's just I know it's just going to be more of what they're delivering. Like, is that kind of like Left 4 Dead style kind of thing? But in the universe I prefer, with more firearms, I'm going to assume it's going to be more ranged weapons. And I'm like, it's like not much more to it than that. It's Vermintide with the setting I prefer and combat I prefer. And I was actually just thinking, comparing it to what's it, Back for Blood. Yeah, Back for Blood, and how that one isn't on my list anywhere of me giving any particular.
I don't think it's on anyone's list.
Because I guess that I'm kind of done with Left 4 Dead, and this one really feels like it's iterated on. It's got some new kind of gameplay loops in there for me to give a shit about.
Back for Blood is like. Every time Billy Corgan says, like, oh, I'm going back to what, like, the pumpkins used to be. Like, pumpkins are dead, man. Pumpkins have been dead for longer than they were alive. Stop it.
They are well and truly smashed.
Yeah. We cannot go back in time. Yeah. You cannot recreate this. Make something new. And when he makes stuff new, I don't mind it. And sure, it's not as popular. But, hey, it's new stuff. Turtle Rock, stop trying to make Left 4 Dead.
Yeah. Wait, maybe there's going to be some stuff around Back for Blood that... I give a shit about.
The fun card system.
That's right. I forgot about the card system, making the director less interesting. Darktide. I'm surprisingly keen on that one.
Cool. I have no order to this list. It's just a bunch of shit.
Probably should have.
Nah, I was.
Just go with your heart.
I'm just going to go with the top game because it's the first game on the list and it's the game that's coming out the soonest according to this list. The Medium is coming out, which is Team Bloober's new game, horror game that got banned in Australia but seems to be unbanned now.
Good.
And it is Silent Hill composer doing the music for it. It's showing off the power of the SSD. Of course, you can play it on last generation Xbox and PC as well. So I guess it's really not showing the power of the SSD. But I've got a good SSD in my PC, so maybe it'll load a little bit faster for me. And it's about dual worlds. Wow. Silent Hill composer. How did they put those ideas together? Anyway, it looks. I've really enjoyed the last few Team Bloober games. Even when I then find out generally like that Blair Witch game, not well liked. I thought it was really fun.
Okay.
But fuck them. I can have my own opinion.
Yeah.
So they sort of won me over, and that'll be good. And unfortunately, like one of the very few Microsoft exclusive games they've got, but I don't care because I've got Game Pass.
It's Game Pass, yeah.
And it will be great.
Because my Game Pass strategy now is just resub when something comes out that I care about. And
stuff just keeps sneaking out on me though. Like actually we haven't spoken about it on here, and who cares about derailing this show? It has no real format. We just talk about what we want.
Rails. There hasn't been for a long time.
Monster Train came out, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks ago. You played Monster Train yet?
No.
Play Monster Train. It's fucking phenomenal.
You did mention it last.
Yeah, no, it sounded good. I kind of wanted it on iPad.
I don't think it's coming out.
I don't think it's going to come to iPad. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I remember because then we talked about the vertical and then the horizontal. Yeah. Monster Train's bloody good. And think something else. Like there's a few little like
games out there.
Yeah, there was like this co-op game that came out. I've never even heard of it. Whenever there's a game that looks kind of slick that I've never heard of, that excites me the most because I'm like, oh, I know nothing. Let's just download it and play it.
I did see an article the other day pointing out that most of the Final Fantasy games they said were coming to Game Pass have not
hit yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was.
There's a few on there.
Even like Destiny, which is coming out.
So all the big things they announced when they first went, PC Game Pass is now a huge thing. Most of that hasn't happened, but all this other great stuff has instead.
Yeah.
Which I'm fully okay with.
I think it'll all just come. Like I think as they lead up to like new Final Fantasy stuff, they'll just trickle it out over time and. Yeah, alright, just right. They added Injustice 2, but what was I thinking of? Oh yeah,
Among Us
is on there, which you don't really need because it's still a free game in most formats.
Depends what platform you want to run it on.
Yes. Yeah, they added Man of Medan, so we can play through that, which we've been meaning to.
It's still like it's still like an amazing service.
Oh yeah, and then on the other side they added. Great, I can't remember what I'm talking about. Moving on. Anyway, yeah. So let's just keep talking about some games that are coming out this next year. Sam, you got your short list?
Yeah.
Into your microphone.
One that's cropped up recently that I have had more awareness on thanks to binging AGDQ in the past week.
What's an AGDQ?
Awesome Games Done Quick.
It's a bi-yearly speedrunning event. They raise money for charity with speedruns. But one of their their big sponsors this year was effectively Devolver Digital. And there was a lot of stuff on there, not knowledge-wise, but just a lot of logo shown for Loop Hero. So I delved into a little bit more.
Loop Hero is,
and it looks pretty damn good.
Is that one on Game Pass?
I don't know. It
only got announced at the Game Awards.
They
announced it as Game of the Year 2021.
That's right. Now I remember. Yeah.
And it looks intriguing.
So
I'm on board.
Other than just the initial trailer, can you give us a brief description of how it's supposed to be?
It feels a little dungeon keeper-y. So the idea is like you're not controlling the character, you're controlling the world the character's going through, but it's on a loop. So you're placing down with the card, like it's card based, but you're placing down the things that the character hits on that loop. And then as they come all the way around, they're going back through the same thing, but you can upgrade or change or place new pieces down.
Are you helping or stopping?
The idea is to kind of it's like a strategy game, so the idea is that you're helping the hero get stronger and better and get items and resources and all that kind of jazz, but not in a way where like it becomes too difficult because it's the AI playing the hero.
Yeah, like
so you need to make sure you're not placing down stuff that's too difficult for him to come across.
Yeah, but if it's too easy, then they're not going to be powered up and they're not going to progress.
I'm not sure what like that balance of that is, or if there's any reasoning to do like ultra slow play versus trying to ramp up fast.
Like it's like a roguelike world building tower defense game.
Yeah. It seems pretty interesting.
Something weird. Ooh.
And
I get a bit of interference from
like
the
most of the games on this list, it's another indie.
They're all roguelikes.
And there is at least 2 roguelikes.
Nice. Okay, James, give me something else. Give me something to look forward to.
New God of War. Apparently coming out.
I bet it doesn't.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things I looked at. I'm like, I don't know if it will.
I like some of the stuff that's like, because I just stole from a bunch of lists. They're like, it could be this year. Like, nah.
I think that like it was meant to come out. Like I know, I agree. Like it probably won't be out this year, but
it could.
It
has been a while.
Looking forward to it maybe coming out.
Because the thing is, like, they're not. Well, they could be, but they'll be building off the last God of War undoubtedly. And they, even when they were talking about it with the, they were like, "What realms would you like to see return or go to?" So it's like they're still talking about at least partly being in the world that we're already experiencing here. And going back through some of it, and obviously it'll change a bit, but they have something to start on, which is when they were first making this God of War, everything was from scratch. It's like, how's it going to play, the designs of the world, everything around it. Now we've got the characters in play, they've got a world design, they've got some great tech, which obviously they continue on. So yeah, that could be fucking cool. And definitely this year.
Definitely 100%.
Guaranteed.
100%. Yeah.
100%.
February release. Confirmed. 8.5-bit.
Co-op exclusive game. One of you plays your son, whose name I can't say because it's spoiled.
Boy.
That's right. Kratos 2. Kroju's the best name. Okay, let's not just go. Look, I really. Oh,
why would you not suggest Kratos?
Because that's not a Simpsons joke.
It's not a Simpsons joke.
But it's.
We can only.
But
speak
it's a language
Simpsons
joke instead.
That's okay. What was it? Oh yeah. Okay, I mentioned it earlier. So there's this game, Adios, which I haven't seen a lot on, but I thought the premise was really interesting. So basically, you play a pig farmer, and you work for the mob. And the hitman comes with like, yeah, got today's bodies for you to dispose of. And you're like, thanks, Frank. By the way, I don't want to work for the mob anymore. Just letting you know. And Frank's like, oh, okay. How about I just hang out here for the day then? So basically, Frank is going to spend the day trying to convince you to not leave because he's going to have to kill you if you want to leave the mob because they don't want anyone with that.
Okay.
You're kind of implicit in that as well.
What kind of game is this?
It's think about like Firewatch, I guess.
Oh, okay.
But you know what I really thought of? I thought about A Way Out. And I thought, if this script is good, you give it to that guy. His name I forget. And then it's just like, remember how the shittiest, well, not the shittiest, there's the writing is the shittiest, but the weirdest disconnect in A Way Out is like, you're supposed to be on this adventure that you stop to play horseshoes and stuff like that. That would be a great tone for a game like this. It's like, we're just idly hanging out and chatting. We're just killing time to try and like negotiate this very difficult situation where basically one person's trying to commit suicide and the other person doesn't really want to do it to them. So I want that game, and hopefully it's good on its own. But if it's not good, I want it remade with the technology all out. And then also that guy's new game, which is It Takes Two, which hopefully, because it is less real-world drama, is less stupid. Yeah. Oh God, I saw some real arguments of people defending that game as genius. Out. I'm like, what are you?
The first third is pretty good.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Before it tries to actually do anything, it's
all the Way Out prison escape stuff.
The tech's fun.
Very good.
It's very similar to the Prison Escape TV show, in which the prison escape
bit is quite good. And then
you're right. Yeah. That first season of what was it?
I don't know if I've ever mentioned it to you.
You base something around escaping from a prison. Yeah. Just stop when they escape the prison.
That's the reason I'm there, is for this prison escape.
My punching bag, I used to write things on it, and one of them was Prison Break Season 2. Because, boy, how...
Didn't eventually that show go back to prison? They realized...
I think they went to several prisons over the run of it.
They realized that, oh, wait, no, this the name of the show is what we should be doing.
I just realized... We've got to break out of a prison. Find another prison, break out. We got to do it. We got to break. I think they might have just
like bucket list of like, we need to break out of every prison in the US.
Well, I think the next thing they had to break in.
I think that's what it was.
And then they had to break out of the prison they broke into. And then they realized the real prison was their own psyche.
Their own prison.
So they went to therapy.
No, they really need to get
to break out of that.
The characters need to realize the real prison was the show.
Yeah.
And they need to break out of that.
Welcome to One Land. Just spoil the end of the show to you, and it doesn't matter because it's the worst show ever made, and it's the best.
It's really good. I watched the whole thing.
If you've never watched Island and you have no self-respect and time to kill,
watch it. It's worth it. It's ruined for you, but it doesn't matter.
Well, it isn't, because it means nothing.
It's so dumb.
Just thinking about that show, it's so good. The dirty chicken bones, and oh God, we need to make a game of Island. Let's fucking rewatch it. I'm so excited. Oh god, that's the kind of B grade that I want. I want more Island, please. If it can't be great, please be terrible in an entertaining way.
Don't be mediocre.
Okay. Hi, Sam.
Hi.
Is there anything else you're looking forward to this next year?
Yeah, Deathloop.
Shit, yes.
100%. I'm on board.
Yeah.
Once
they finally showed it,
once we got an idea of what it was actually doing.
And I think
the premise
of it.
cooked me in, and then once they actually went, this is what's happening.
They still haven't
and
explained.
We still don't know some of it.
The other half isn't explained
we
yet.
don't know what some of it is.
Oh, what if you're playing the other character?
Yeah.
I don't really understand that still.
The half we know, I am fully on board for.
It's Outer Wilds Hitman.
Yeah.
Outer
Wilds Puzzle Hitman.
Yeah. There's puzzles in Outer Wilds.
Yeah, you know.
and Hitman has puzzles, but Outer Wilds Puzzle Hitman with an arcane shooter.
Yeah. And like I've said previously, I think Dishonored is one of those few games on my list that I have completely 100%ed.
I never have either game. I need
done
to.
All the playthroughs.
I've never even done that Clockwork Mansion mission. I need to.
I love that mission. That's some
so many good things. James, have you played half the mission so that you're between the two of us?
No.
Well, you've ruined it now.
The problem is I don't really like Thief.
So you don't have to play
don't
like
play
Thief.
it like Thief then.
Just shoot people in the face.
Balls to the wall,
Maybe I should do that. Just go
kill
loud.
everything.
I love going loud.
Just go loud.
Loud's
the
the best
game
way.
lets you go loud.
Oh, okay.
You'll get the
It's
bad
really-
ending, but who gives a
I've
shit?
actually, because I've done the go loud playthrough, I've done the full stealth playthrough where it's completely non-lethal. And then there's a third type of playthrough that's it's a little bit...
By non-lethal, do you mean you just use the gun that makes them not dead instead of the gun that makes them
the
dead?
The trank gun versus the bullet
non-lethal
gun.
in Dishonored's pretty, solidly non-lethal.
Yeah, but there's still a dart that puts them asleep, isn't there?
Yeah, and you choke hold guards to death.
Oh, yeah, because there's nothing non-lethal about choking someone to black out.
Yeah, there is actually there's an achievement.
It's disabled now.
There's an achievement for a playthrough where you don't knock out any guards.
Oh, okay, cool. I think,
which was fun,
but it does do the thing because you choke someone out, and you go to sleep with you, but you don't notice they're in a puddle on the ground. And they drown. I think that's a real.
It's the old Batman thing of I don't like guns. I just throw metal at people's faces till they fall asleep.
I just kick them off buildings. They'll be fine. I don't know. I just threw a solid steel cable around their ankles and let them fall 7 stories, but it stopped them suddenly. So I guess they're fine.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Deathloop is definitely on top of my list of things to keep an eye on.
And just to continue our joking on the thing, I would like if someone just in those games where you do have those non-lethal options, if just every once in a while it just says nah, you killed them.
Cyberpunk did that to me.
Yeah. Does it?
Yeah. But it was a bug.
Was it a bug?
Oh, okay.
I chokehelded, did a non-lethal takedown on a guy, and then the physics engine kicked in when I let go, and his body exploded.
That can happen.
Good stuff.
That can happen. It's classic. Okay, James, what do you got for me?
Everspace 2.
That's the sequel to Everspace, I'm told.
Yes. So Everspace, the space roguelike, transitioning to being more of an open world sandbox space thing.
So right up your alley.
Yes.
Did you play the demo?
Yes.
I wasn't good at that.
I played the demo and it was ticking all the boxes. I'm like, oh, video game.
It looked pretty, but I kept dying.
Really like you, video game. All their cool planet tech, you can go down planets and stuff. It's just, open world space game with really fun shooting. It's very arcadey, space combat, but I'm okay with that. Lots of loot.
Sometimes you just don't want realistic space because realistic space is difficult.
Yeah, sometimes I want to play
also
Elite.
boring and
boring.
I should say probably Elite Odyssey as well. I am keen on that.
Yeah, is that just a shooter, or is it just got shooting components to it?
It just has shooting components. You don't have to shoot. It's just...
But
people are going to shoot.
You ain't got to shoot. Everyone's running around going, wee!
It's an
shooting.
Eve game. Yeah. People are going to shoot.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. Stuff. But, yes.
Remember,
Everspace
what
2.
was it? Dust 512 or whatever?
Oh, yeah, where it was tied back into the Eve economy.
Yeah.
Separate game, but tied in.
It's like we need resupply. Send them down ships in the sky,
and then it took back into the main game. This one, Elite is very notoriously mile wide 2-inch thick puddle. Like it's very shallow, but very, very broad. I don't know how much they're going to add to it. I feel like it's going to be some cool new mechanics, but I don't know if it's going to, like foster like community to start building settlements and things like, because they're not doing that kind of stuff. I'm glad they're doing something like Elite Dangerous has been in like what feels like maintenance mode for like the last 3 or 4 years, and I guess they've just been kind of doing this stuff, working on new planet tech and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a big one. And I can only give 50-50 coming out. That Hogwarts Legacy game.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's the new Harry Potter
looks
like prequel.
Yeah, like it's back in the 1800s, I think. Yeah,
that's the thing that makes me want to play it.
It's got some real money in that.
It's not the shitty part of what is Harry Potter.
It's almost like the old Republic of...
We have the world, and we have the old version of the world, and we don't have to worry about any of the other material. We can just
don't
make
worry
it a
about
thing.
this bloody Fantastic Beats timeline. Oh, man. Johnny Depp's back and he's a TJ now. Watch out for this cup. What was it he threw at her? Something like that. Anyway, no, I'm not getting into that. But yeah, I'm not necessarily a big budget person most of the time, but boy howdy,
it looks nice for a big budget game. Yeah,
it looks like it's treating the world in a way that fans are going to really enjoy, and the way those magic rocks move in that trailer. Oh, it's expensive. Yeah, I can be any sort of wizard I want. I could be a boy or a girl or trans if I want.
Anything
maybe.
in between.
God, I hope so.
Just as long as you're not a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, no. That's only for Ayn Rand. Man, now I'm just getting into in jokes that I have with myself. I fucking hate Ayn Rand. But I do think I would be a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, Hufflepuff's alright.
Yeah, I think it is more...
So the thing is, it's a game that's going to print money because it's Harry Potter.
Yes. And hopefully it's a good game also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be like
it's nice that they're not doing just Hogwarts.
So is it going to be like Hogwarts is like the hub?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
And you'll go out on adventures from it.
Because the premise is like you're attending Hogwarts.
Yeah.
You're going through that school year.
Yeah, so they go like,
there's the world around.
We've got potions class, and don't go into the dark forest tonight. By the way, we need this from the dark forest. Just go with Hagrid. Hagrid's alive. 1800s. Yes, he's a reverse baby. He went in and then came back out. So he's a preborn ghost. Man, that'd be good. That's a good concept. Time to start writing my sci-fi. Pre-ghosts. It's what you are before you're born.
It would be Hogwarts in Scotland.
Oh, what is that?
Yeah. Well, you age backwards.
Yeah.
So you count down. You eventually become... So basically, Benjamin Button was a pre-ghost in real life. Yeah. So the ghosts reverse age until they hit that, and then they age out. The weird thing is then when you become a ghost... It doesn't know which way to age you. So each days are all of the dice.
Like you could go up or down?
Yeah. I mean, just look at Star Wars. I mean, are they older? Are they younger? Who can tell?
Sometimes it's what they look like when they died, and sometimes it's not.
No. Sometimes they're animated, and sometimes they're a real person.
Maybe they just get to pick.
No.
How they're feeling at the time.
I'm pretty sure Star Wars is all solid science now. Since they brought in the midichlorians.
Yeah, they explained it.
Yeah. It's all fixed. Just like everything else. That's our slogan on the sign behind us today. Everything is fixed now because we've finished with 2020. Yeah. So nothing bad
as soon as we tick past midnight, the world was fine.
Nothing can possibly go wrong.
Yeah. We changed that word in the anthem.
Shit.
That fixed things.
Yeah. And we changed coon cheese.
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, I think there's no chia cheese.
Chia.
There's
a bunch of very upset
That was one
people.
of the things that my parents used to like joking about when we first moved here. Was like, you can't call that your cheese that.
Oh, well, at least they were saying you can't call your cheese that.
Yeah. Well, because it is a much much more strongly used word in the UK.
Yeah. I think, and that's it's like a normalizing thing when it's just like, but it's also this. It's like, but I mean,
but it's mostly not. It's cheese.
No.
Context matters.
Like, if your last name is Shithouse, you probably change it to Latrine.
Yeah.
There's a good old Men in Tights reference for all the kids out there that love Mel Brooks
What a good movie.
Yeah, it's got a young Dave Chappelle, and well, I guess now he's older, so he's young then too. Everyone in it was younger then.
Everyone is younger than
it was
they
made
are
in the
now.
past. Yeah, all movies only feature younger
photos
people.
are photos of the past.
Now watch out for those reverse ghosts. We're having too much fun. We're running too hot on the mics. That's okay. Yeah, so that's good. Do you have any other games that you want to talk about, Sam?
The other thing that kind
Into
of
the microphone.
There are two that are maybes this year. Well, one is a no. It's probably not this year.
Go for it anyway.
And then there's a third one that I think we all wish to know more about.
Shoot any of them out. There's no structure to this.
The one that's not coming out for sure this year is Elden Ring.
Oh yeah, that's not.
But it technically has a 2021 release date.
Yeah,
release year.
I mean, the way that they work,
it'll come out whenever it does.
Yeah,
I'll look forward to what it is when it happens.
I mean, more people have been doing shorter run-ups with the releases now anyway. Where it's like, no, we're going to show it 3 months before we launch it or something. So it's totally possible.
Then Breath of the Wild 2.
Yep.
Which may or may not come with an updated Switch.
Yeah, I'm kind of like...
I'm hoping it does.
Yeah, that's something that's the other thing I'm hoping for this year. It's not it to come out, but I would like some news on whatever the follow-up... Yeah, like what is...
Yeah, at this point, because it was all like, we want Switch Pro, but at this point they could start talking Switch 2.
Yeah. Because
and obviously they make it backwards compatible, but I think also kind of hope that Breath of the Wild isn't like built for whatever that new hardware is in mind. I want it built for now and just maybe.
So you want them to do what they did with the first Breath of the Wild, but with
build it for the Wii U.
Gap.
Yeah, kind of, because I think it'd be really shit because the Switch is selling gangbusters at the moment. Yeah. Like it's all the fancy new consoles. It's leaving for dust. It's like yeah, you're all new and fancy, but fuck, everyone wants me. But I think it just kind of suck if the next big tentpole, because it has been a pretty sparse schedule in recent times, was just like, yeah, it's not really for you. You can play it, but it's kind of like when we put Hyrule Warriors out on the 3DS and it ran at 15 frames a second. Go fuck yourselves. Like, thanks, Nintendo. Thanks. So yeah.
Yeah, I really hope with a Switch follow-up that it is backwards compatiable. I think that if
it definitely will,
it would have to be.
I'd be shocked if it
like it just, especially now that we've kind of shifted things being digital.
What if the Switch follow-up wasn't a Switch 2? What if they just did? Oh no, we're just going to do a console and like a separate handheld.
100% could be.
It's Nintendo.
Back up again.
Yeah, it's like well, that was just an experiment. I guess it was the third tentpole.
I guess the nice thing about the Switch is it doesn't really do a lot, like using weird hardware. So even if they do go, let's go do something kind of a bit strange with whatever the next thing is, I would imagine Switch stuff will still be okay on it. Like there's nothing there.
The premises are there.
It's not like a DS game which needs a stylus. Like, it's pretty conservative with the actual input for what that thing is.
What about that IR camera that we use for a lot of things?
The one for telling bytes? Is that the... You meant to go hum, hum, hum.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Don't you remember the Game of the Year 1-2 Switch?
Yeah. All I remember, because it has built-in technology for detecting rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
And we can all remember all of the classic games that use that technology.
Yeah, right.
It's great. Okay, I guess I should probably pick another game. Oh, I am very hyped for that. But let's do the game above it. Stray.
Let's say your kitty robot game.
Now, let's use good enunciation with that, because it sounded like you said kitty, but it's kitty.
Kitty robot.
Yeah, so it's a robot world, and you're a real cat, but you're a messenger. Yeah. And it's a beautiful looking world, really well realized, futuristic. Planet of the robots want their lug nuts, all that stuff. But yeah, you get to slink around it as a
lug nuts.
Precious lug nuts. We haven't seen full gameplay, but fuck, it's a nice premise.
Yeah.
And it's been in development for a long time. We kept seeing little GIFs now and then. It's like, what is this?
It's a very GIFable game.
It looks beautiful. And I'm not even a cat person. I mean, yes, if they turned into a dog game, I'd be there. Actually, no, because cats are they're best better at urban explorers.
The cats give you the parkour.
Yeah. It's just like,
they're very nimble.
Yes, if they can nail that, kind of like a 3D rain world, but less bullshit hard.
And more cats.
Or less.
Less cats, more robots.
Yeah, less cats,
more
more robots.
The last delivery cat.
Yeah. That's the robots don't know how to do anything without their cats. Yes. So, I mean, eventually I can just start reading through this giant list. But
speaking of other games that won't come out this year, Starfield.
It is literally the last thing on here.
Yeah, it is apparently slated for this year, but yeah.
Well, this was a part of this part of the list is like games that don't really have a date and are like chucked in.
Bottom chunk.
Yeah.
But
Lord of the Rings Golem. Curious to see.
Yeah,
it's more of my curious list.
Yeah.
Like I guess they've gone for that new Golem design so that he's a little bit cute, because I guess you can't have Peter Jackson's Gollum. I kind of wish they just did that though.
Great.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see what that thing ends up being.
Yeah. It looked... Because who's making it?
I can't remember who's making it.
For some reason I think Wajidai, but that seems wrong in my head. Let's find out. Let's type into our computers.
I don't know if Final Fantasy 16 is out this year.
I think it's supposed to be. The indication was that it was quite a bit further along than people anticipated from the...
So I'm keen on that.
But it's also a Square Final Fantasy game, so being almost done might need 10 more years.
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah.
When's part 2 of Final Fantasy 7 remake coming out?
I don't know, but they just made some trademarks.
Ah.
Registered some extra ones.
Oh. Like
relate to the world of 7.
Oh.
Destruction All-Stars.
Yeah.
The one that disappeared was meant to be launched, right? Like that one?
It's supposed to be a launch title.
Yeah, but
it was supposed to be a $130 launch title.
Yes,
right?
Yeah. Hopefully PlayStation Plus, it'll be a free thing.
Yeah, that's the smart...
That would be the smart thing to do with this particular video game. But I like me some car combat.
So what was the game we were talking about?
Destruction All-Stars.
Oh yes, I'm very excited about it. It's free!
Yeah. So it is free, so that's confirmed.
Perfect size. Well, yeah, that was what they announced last year.
Yeah.
PS Plus.
Good, that's what it needs to be. So yeah.
Looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know why I was thinking of Wajidai, because it's similar deck. It's Dadliac. Daedalic. Entertainment, sorry, not Dadliac.
Might get Hellblade 2 this year. I'll get some more Hellblade.
Oh, yeah,
that would be interesting to see if that comes out. Because that's Senua Saga. So it's Hellblade was they called it AA or whatever, but it's a small game with AAA production value that they had a small team on, and it's like super high production, but it was a controlled, short,
very tight scope,
very personal game. And now it's like, how is that going to get bigger? Because they're putting a lot of resources into it, and I think it's also the only announced Unreal 5 game.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot riding on it.
Yeah, because
I don't know what it will be.
Yeah, because I don't really want it to be a big, long experience. I think what I liked about Hellblade was that really kind of short, intimate story. I'm just not sure. I mean, I don't really mind. It could be anything, but if it's going to continue that name, I kind of have an expectation of it being. But her story's kind of done.
We don't really need to explore her mental illness anymore. Is it going to be? So all I know is it's going to be pretty. That's about it, and the setting's going to be all Nordic helly,
which is good times. Yeah,
good times for everyone. Except for her, had a terrible time.
Good times for us.
Okay, let's talk about some problematic things. Well, not necessarily problematic, but just things that... So Tunic's apparently supposed to come out. Remember Tunic?
No.
It's like Lord of the Legend of Zelda, but you're a fox in a tunic. I played it at PAX 4 fucking years ago.
I have no memory of this place.
It just keeps not coming out.
I think this is a year of a space venture.
Hopefully. Dying Light 2, apparently in development hell.
Biomutant's supposed to be this year too, actually.
Yes.
Speaking of games we played at PAX and disappeared.
Yes, Biomutant is very much... it was weird, because what we played was an old demo and they're already retooling it, and then they're
on third-party controllers.
Yeah, I think they really wanted to retool it into something better. Because I liked it, but it didn't sell me on it. So I really want to see what that becomes, and hopefully, this year. Overwatch 2.
Yeah, well...
You know, I had a little category...
The news is coming on that.
I had a little category on things like re-releases that I want, and I actually just kind of put Overwatch 2
in your re-releases.
It basically is.
I don't really think of it like a new thing.
It's the weirdest concept for a sequel I've ever heard of. Yeah. It's like, oh yes, everything in it is going to be in the old game too, Okay.
Buy this if you want a graphical upgrade.
Yeah, except they're adding is it
PvE
single
mode.
player
And the
or
PvE mode,
is it
yeah.
is it single player or that? Yeah. So it's kind of so you kind of just buying a campaign.
Yep.
I guess you could kind of look at it like Hitman. Oh, but that doesn't backport. That just brings everything forward.
They say graphical upgrade. It still looks good. Like
Overwatch does.
2
Yeah,
is
Overwatch.
it is a good looking game. Like I don't look at that. I mean, I was only just playing it.
Yeah, but
The thing is,
tracing.
they also can't make it too much of a graphical upgrade because
Yeah.
people will complain about the differences between the versions. And
Well, because I
it's
know I know
it's
what I
a
mentioned this before,
competitive
but I'm still
shooter.
pissed off about it. Fucking playing Unreal Tournament with this piece of shit, and we're doing the bloody Two-Face or Face-to-Face,
Yeah.
whatever it's called or whatever, and he is
Facing
just
Worlds.
sniping everyone.
That's what
from
I used
the-
to do.
And we're like, what the hell is going on? And then we look at his computer, and his graphics card just like made everyone super bright. You piece of shit.
Oh, good times. Those are good days.
Yeah, Overwatch 2 confuses the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Like what it'll sell, I guess.
Well, I'm gonna buy it because
Yeah.
I'm invested.
Because I did jump back into Overwatch a little
you
bit,
did, yeah.
and I was surprised how much I liked it. I think
It gets a lot of flack.
the role ticketing system I thought was very good because I could just go, I'll just do support, and then instantly I was in a more balanced game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that they seem to bring down a lot of the round lengths.
Yeah,
like
they've done a lot of balance tweak and a lot of quality of life tweak.
Well,
Like they're constantly trying to.
I wasn't
to improve.
sure if it was just because I was joining someone leaving, but it seemed to me a lot of it'd be like, like whatever the minecart name is in Overwatch.
The payload, yeah.
Payload, yeah. That I'd only do one side and then I'd move on. Like
Yeah, it depends on what game mode you're playing.
Yeah.
So some of them, like I think it's only competitive now that actually makes you play.
Well,
both
but I really
sides.
liked it. Like I
Yeah.
didn't get in that situation when I was playing it where I was getting really frustrated because it seemed like each time I play, it'd be like. Because I find what can really frustrate me, thank you, can really frustrate me in something like Overwatch is when I get stuck in a multi-round thing where every round it's like, this team is fucked. And mostly my fault, but the team is fucked. I wasn't getting that frustration anymore. It was like, I had a match, we lost, but I don't really care. But yeah, the idea of, I don't know. I just thought it still looked really nice. Like I'm just trying to figure out
It looks beautiful.
what Overwatch 2 is really offering me apart from a new game mode that I probably won't really care about.
Yeah.
So I had to double check a game on my list because it was on my list and I thought it was right, but I need to double check it was right. Do you remember that The Wolf Among Us 2 is being made again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Telltale exists again.
Yeah.
And they're making that again. The first game was really good.
Yeah. I didn't play the first one.
It's real
but
good.
I know you really liked it.
Yeah, I really liked it. It
Yeah.
might be the best Telltale game that they made.
Well, their last Batman game was really good. They had one of the most interesting takes on the Joker I've seen.
Admittedly, I did not play it, so I can't compare.
Yeah, I really liked
And
it.
you didn't play Wolf, so neither of us can compare.
This conversation is pointless.
I haven't played either of them.
Yeah.
That's
other
going to be
remakes?
weird because it's just like who else? It's like because I don't think they could get a lot of the talent back because everyone got fucked over and went
Yeah.
and found new jobs.
Yeah.
So.
It's a whole new team.
Looking forward to the Prince of Persia remake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm the only person looking forward
Possibly,
to that.
yeah.
Yeah, like
We made it look bad as a joke.
like I saw the graphics of the remake and thought, oh yeah, it looks alright. And everyone else looked at it and went, I
think
hate
it
it.
looks fine.
I thought
It looks totally average.
It's a charming take.
It's like a really high-end Xbox 360 game.
yeah.
But with 2 generations up from that.
Yeah,
and
it's in that weird
I think
space,
it's supposed
though.
to be a full-price game, which is the weird part of
Yeah.
it. It's like, if they did this a $20 HD remake sort of thing, I'd be like, yeah, it's cool. But I think it's supposed to be a big release.
Yeah, I
Is
don't
it
know how
in
that's
that
going to go
weird
from.
space where like we've had the nostalgia for the 8-bit and the 16-bit, but now we're like in the weird. Oh, we're remaking a game. We're making it look like
Well, like
Xbox era.
But that was never a good era.
and
Like, early-
no one's told them to be like.
No one
don't-
should be nostalgic for early
one
3D.
or the other. Don't.
Yeah, like
not
all
that.
of haunted PlayStation, all
Yeah,
of that
well,
shit. So,
I think like whatever there's, because I guess you get like the boomer shooter
I was
aesthetic.
going to say the boom is like
Yeah.
Ultra Kill and shit
Yeah.
like that. Where you can literally turn on wonky textures.
Yeah, but I'm thinking like I don't know, Draken.
There's a gap.
I was literally looking at Draken like 2 weeks ago.
Like the aesthetic of Draken. Or let's just say something people remember. Unreal.
What
like
do you mean
1.
something people will remember? The Dragons are killer.
I don't think
Next to be saying that people won't remember Heavy Metal Fact 2.
I don't think the aesthetic of Unreal 1, it just wasn't very good.
James,
Yeah.
the Kingpin remake is coming out this year. Remember Kingpin?
I do remember Kingpin.
He's back in pulp form. Kingpin. What a game. It wasn't good when it came out.
The Disco Elysium re-release. Really
Yes.
keen on that.
Yeah, I'm super hyped for it too.
Yeah.
Because I'm lazy and can't
Give me
read.
all that voice acting.
Yeah.
Post-fix Cyberpunk. I'm looking forward to that.
That's a 2022, 2023 game.
Yeah.
Might be a while.
I really have now relegated Cyberpunk to... I'm going to just play this again
When
in
it's
about
done.
a year, maybe 2. I think at some point there will be enough DLC that they will have injected things into it that make it feel like a good open world game, and I'll have a fun time with it. But I feel like if I play it now, I'm robbing myself of what this game's going to be in about a year's time.
Yeah. I also agree with that.
I had a Card Shark listed.
Oh, I forgot about Card Shark. Oh, that looks so good. Oh.
I'm fully on board.
Do you remember Card Shark,
No.
James? Let us remind you about Card Shark. Okay, so it's French? You're in France,
It's
I think?
Yeah.
You're in French. God, I English speak you good.
You're in the country of French.
Yeah.
Le French.
And it's a game about cheating at cards.
Yeah.
So it's a card game, but it's also a narrative game,
Okay.
and it's got awesome pixel art.
And it's supposed to teach you the sleight of hand in order to play the game.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Like
cool.
it teaches you the way to cheat at poker that people did back then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like it
All the
actually...
tricks and the sleight of hand
Yeah.
and
And it's like you get found out. It's like a duel. And yeah, it's like,
it looks so good.
yeah,
That's cool.
it did fill me with some
Yeah.
real whimsy when I saw that. Yeah, Card Shark. I forgot about that. Shit, yeah. I better write that down on my list of things to write in the
What else? Actually,
tag field.
I'm interested in seeing what Crimson Desert ends up being.
Yeah, well, because I don't know if it was with you guys or not, but there was the expectation that it was a free-to-play for some reason.
I
and
was
it's
thinking,
not.
because I was thinking about that because I think that was my expectation. But Black Desert is buy to play, so I expect there'll be some entry price into it, and then there'll be MMO mechanics somewhere.
Just looks beautiful.
Yeah,
I don't know, because it just seems to
It's
be
a
that it's a single-player
no,
game.
there's definitely MMO stuff in there. It is
How do you know?
because it gets talked about in MMO YouTube channels I listen to.
But maybe that's just because it's related to Black Desert.
No, it's like
Yeah, like
Because
I bet
definitely
they
came out-
talked about...
They came out swinging with single player experience.
it's like I'm pretty sure it's going to be like
Is it going to be a very beautiful Genjin?
yes, that's what I'm expecting.
Well, like it's a single player experience, but also there's
but
dungeons.
there's going to be this point in which it's co-op in some way, shape, or form.
Well, we'll see
Well,
who's
regardless,
right
it
and
looked
who's
beautiful,
dead.
and the dragon riding looked fun. Amongst
Yeah,
everything
I'm
else they showed.
real curious to see what the hell that thing ends up being.
It's very pretty.
Maybe it's the 100% science-based dragon MMO we need.
That we've all been waiting for.
Stalker 2, I don't think it's going to come out.
Yeah. Oh, so they released a gameplay cinematic the other week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, by which they meant here's some scenes rendered allegedly in engine, which means nothing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
everything's in
gameplay
engine.
cinematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Emphasis on the cinematic.
we're just going to go through a few scenes that's like, yeah, okay. We don't know what
It's
I don't think I think it's barely in production.
Mm.
Yeah. I
it's
think they're
weird
trying
that
to
we
trick
still
people.
use that kind of like
It's
trying to
terminology.
pass off in engine as like game because
Yeah, 'cause-
there's not many games that do not in engine cutscenes.
Yeah. When's the last time you saw
Like,
a non
The only
engine?
non-in-engine cutscenes I see now are WoW and League of
But
Legends.
isn't
Yeah.
The Mandalorian like
Yes,
basically
yeah.
all in
The Mandalorian
it's just
is
all
an
unreal?
in-engine cutscene.
Yeah. Not only is the Mandalorian in engine, it's in real time
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
because they were going to do
Mandalorian
post on it
is a
and like,
game.
it's actually good enough in,
Yeah,
it's a
in
visual
real
novel.
time. Yeah. It's like,
It's a fully voiced visual novel.
oh god,
It's interesting how far that tech's come because I remember watching stuff on episode 7 when they were doing that, and they were using VR and Unreal Engine to do a lot of their like cinematography setups
Well, I
for
remember.
stuff like outside the Death Star where it's all
Yeah.
3D.
Well, Lord of the Rings, because they did a lot of handheld camera work in CG. What they'd set up the scene, and then they'd literally have a VR camera that camera operator could run around the scene
Yeah,
in
to show what
try and
shots they
shoot.
want.
And then they just took that data and imported the camera movement into whatever
Whereas
they were
now
using.
It's just like,
Yeah.
well, we'll just use Unreal and
Yeah, it's all good.
We
Yeah,
don't actually need to do any post work.
an in-engine trailer is just means fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Like yes, I can also use Unreal. It's free.
Humankind, interested in that one, which is Amplitude's take on Civilization.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like they have a history of doing pretty interesting things with 4X, with Endless Space, and that was another one they did, which is more of a fantasy one. Endless Legends. So they've gone for that Might and Magic, and they've gone for Master of Orion, and this is their take on Civ. So I'm pretty keen to see what they do with that.
Civ games are good.
New Pokemon Snap. You excited, James?
I forgot about that.
Is it going to use the Labo VR?
Oh.
Yes. No.
Just say yes.
It should just have a
viewfinder. They'll come out with an entirely new thing.
Yeah.
It'll be something completely different.
It's going to
use exactly.
It's going to be using the Solid Eye.
Yeah. Nintendo releases an adapter that they've bought to use the iToy.
Oh, nice. What does Nintendo have on its slate? The Pokemon game, Breath of the Wild.
A bunch of re-releases.
Metroid Prime 4, which isn't going to happen for a long time.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I mean, hopefully we'll see something on it sometime. But
they don't actually have a lot.
They don't. It's like 3D World is coming out, and Bayonetta 3 at some point.
Yeah.
But they have definitely swapped to not telling us until it's done.
all their games are like 2 months before pre-release or 1 month before. It's like, which is good, but it's hard to go like, oh, I'm really psyched for Nintendo this year.
I can't budget for their games anymore, really.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you can go buy their coupons, and then at some point
there's going to be 2 games that come out
at some point.
There'll always be a second game. I mean, Monster Hunter Rise, but that's not them. That's just being released on their platform.
Psychonauts 2?
I mean, I got it, baby. I get all those updates from Tim. And they're to me specifically. They come in my email. I'm the only one that gets them. So, hello, Tim, and he says, "Hi, backers." I'm like, that's his pet name for me. It's like,
Paul Backers Broadhurst.
that's what they call me down at the Kickstarter bar. But it was on Fig. I mean, that game's just going to be. Look,
it'll be Psychonauts 2.
Yeah, it'll be Psychonauts 2. It'll be probably very solid. It'll probably have a really good script, and some people will say, doesn't play as good as Mario Odyssey. Like, yeah, no shit.
Of course.
That's not its goal. So hopefully it plays. I mean, I still go back and play Psychonauts.
No Clip dropped a interview / going through the history with Tim recently.
Oh, yeah. Going through all his games. Yeah. It still blows my mind the amount of people that are like, Tim shit with he can't manage a game. His company's barely staying afloat. It's like it stayed afloat for in the most one of the most expensive cities in the world for a long time, and they shipped like 25 products.
Because how long's Double Fine been around now? 10 years?
About 2000. Oh, I think it's older. I think it's like 15 years now.
Yeah, there are not many studios. You cannot have a studio alive for that long if there's not some competent management there.
Yeah, that manages multiple projects at once. That has that became a publisher for a while, and it's like. And I'm sure Microsoft does take a little bit of stress out of the accounting department, but so what? They did pretty well for a long time, and it was a studio that people liked being at, and you never got reports of like we're being fucking worked to the bone and stressed out, and it's like, So, not saying that they're necessarily the world's greatest, but they did pretty damn well.
They still exist.
Yeah.
I'm curious about Diablo Immortal. That'll probably be out sometime this year. I know you're not.
Can't you already play it? Isn't it just that other game reskinned?
I think they recently... No, probably half of it. Because I think it just went into Android. I think it started pushing out some like closed beta or something like that. I haven't heard anything particularly bad about it.
When's Witch March coming out?
It's on my list as well.
Only people with phones are playing it. So,
I do keep an eye on Witch March. It is still active. So... maybe this year.
James. No. Are you excited for Sports Story?
Yes.
Oh, is that the...
I'm answering for him?
Yeah, because it's Golf Story, but the thing you like least about Golf Story was the golf.
It's Golf Story with various
sports.
Sports.
Yeah, and it's like tennis in there and things like that.
Is fishing in there? Because then James is fully
I'll say yes. I'll say yes for them.
Yes, I'm more interested in Sports Story than I am Golf Story.
Why don't we know who these boys are?
I think...
They're just up north a little bit,
They're making the right move. Just sit in the corner, Don't get involved
don't exist.
Don't get involved in any kind of game dev drama. Just
I don't get involved in any game dev drama.
Maybe it's you two.
Maybe I'm aware who stops them from coming out. Porky's trying to talk to us. Actually, I've never tried. I wonder if I could see if they have any music they want to play on the radio. Hey, if you're an Australian developer or an Australian composer and you happen to make music, I can play any of your music as long as the game is Australian or the composer is Australian, because we've got quotas. Oh boy, the quota system is difficult because there's an aspirational quota of at least 5% Indigenous. Oh, yeah. Now,
of Indigenous game music.
Yes. Now that is, as I say, it's an aspirational goal. We're not like held to it, but the only one we can ever play is there's a song by Baker Boy in the Tony Hawk soundtrack, and that's like I guess it's game music. It's in a game. So like, otherwise, like no. Yeah, I got so excited when I found an Indigenous developed Wii boxing game. I was like, fucking goldmine. I need to find these people, need to write it. Like, no one's. It was basically a PowerPoint that they made. I'm like, oh, yeah. I can't even pretend this is a game. Oh, well.
Yeah, it's unfortunately not much Indigenous representation in game dev.
No, well, and even when there's. Well, yeah, in the game dev, even when there's representation in games, it's. I don't personally know anyone.
Nope.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
But that's all right. We'll hopefully we can get more in there. Thankfully, see, there are a good number of Australian composers, and also I can just grab music from Australian games. But the problem is, so many of them are very Atmos heavy games. That's shit music for radios.
Yeah.
Who wants to listen to an 8-minute track of just something that goes gang gang gang?
You need to talk to old mate Xander.
Xander?
Yeah,
I don't know Xander.
Xander Hume. I'll hook you up with him.
Fella.
He is like the pseudo standard of audio guy in Brisbane. Gets around a lot of different projects.
Yeah, the only real composer I knew in Brisbane was Jeff.
Yeah, no, I'll hook you up with Xander.
See, I have a composer friend, but he's leaning towards movie, not games.
Yeah, I need games. Yeah. Games. Give me my quotas.
He's a doctor.
Let's talk about some more games.
We also got Vampire Masquerade 2.
Sure we do.
Which is going to be a hot mess.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, if it wasn't, it wouldn't really be suited to the game, would it?
I think it will be very, very appropriate for its legacy. It will be a quite a entertaining dumpster fire, I'm pretty sure.
I am looking forward to Returnal.
Hell yeah.
Because I still think that name sucks. But other than us having a friend that works on it, this is at Housemarque. I don't quite know what it is because it looks very narrative heavy, but it's also a roguelike, and it's a weird third-person sci-fi shooter. And I don't quite see the Housemarque like bullet hell stuff that they do, but I mean it certainly has some coloured bullets that come out, and it looks real sexy and looks a bit scary and looks a little bit like the roguelike-ish stuff seems more Groundhog Day-y, and which Time Lapse and Paul. It's like, hey, this is pretty
just
exciting.
throwing some
Paul
scale in
hasn't
there.
said 12 minutes yet.
Yeah, that is actually my number one game that I'm looking forward to. But I've talked about it so much.
Yeah, that's true.
But Returnal, I think, has a good chance of being pretty fucking cool. And I only just realised going through Housemarque games that I didn't realise Housemarque made Helldivers.
Oh. Yeah.
Which I'm like, fuck, I love Helldivers. Yeah. Like, there are other games I'm like, I like, but like, that game...
Yeah, Helldivers is great.
Did you really ever get into Helldivers, Sam?
Not really, no.
So
I'm aware of it.
Helldivers, originally we approached it like a Magic-alike. Because I think it was also published.
I think it was published by Paradox.
Yeah, I think so. Well, maybe I just imagined it was. Well, I haven't checked it. But we both thought that, so it must be right.
Yeah.
But you run around, you're Space Marines. Yeah, there's got a cool thing for you. You got to put in basically codes to cool down equipment and stuff, and they're like D-pad codes. Yeah. You got to stop and quickly type it in to get
like
stuff in.
8 kind of directions you have to quickly put in.
But then we realized you can
old school cheat codes almost.
Yeah. It's more, you can play it more like a espionage stealth game, and you can like be stalking ahead and actually like avoiding enemies and being sneaky, and like you can play it really seriously. I'm like, this game's so much better than people are giving it credit for. It's like, it's not just a twin stick shooter, it's got a lot of depth. Yeah. I love it. But yeah, Housemarque's cool in Returnal, despite its name. And someone tried to say, like, you see, it's not as stupid as you think. It's Return and Eternal. I'm like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I just think it's a dumb sounding word.
It can be stupid and make sense.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's just like not the strongest name.
Resident Evil.
Yes.
Should be getting that.
Village.
Another mainline Resident Evil new number.
Yeah, I wonder, because it's built on 7, I wonder if you get PS5, if you can also get the PS4 version to the VR version, because I don't know if the PS4 version will have VR, because they did really like doing the VR in 7 and thought it was very successful. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask
Maybe it'll be something that'll push official PS5 VR.
I think from their thing, I think they're just not doing anything with it on PS5 until they're doing PSVR 2.
Ah, okay.
Because I think they don't want to have that mess when it comes out. Because I think it's, from any leaks, I think it's going to be quite different. It's still going to be a supported platform, and hopefully it'll be backwards compatible to the games. But I don't think they want, hey, I've got PSVR, why can't I play PS5 games? And it's like, because we don't support that shit on that, but you can play your old games with it. I mean, it's not that complicated, actually. Just have it like PSVR 2 only logo on stuff.
But the average person.
Yeah, the average person's the average person.
Intelligent.
Yeah. I mean, 1 in 3 people's a complete idiot.
Exactly. Which one of us is it?
Oh no. Far Cry 6. It's going to be more Far Cry.
Yeah, it's just like they've shown nothing and it's like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, I know exactly what it's going to be. It's going to
print Far Cry money.
It's going to be more Far Cry. I really like Far Cry 5. I thought New Dawn was okay. I enjoyed it all right. I'm always down for some Far Cry. They're always like nicely timed, and when they come out, where I'm kind of just getting the itch. It's not like Assassin's Creed. They tend to come out too fast for me. But Far Cry's, they're good. They got a good cadence to their delivery.
I've got this problem where every once in a while I get excited by a Far Cry game and go like, ooh, this one looks like it's
the same game every
different.
time. No, it's the same thing.
And then it's not. And I'm like, okay, I play it for like 5 hours and go like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I've seen it. It's good. I found Far Cry games are like everyone's gone to the Rapture, where I'm playing it and I'm like, this game is, the world is dead. There's no design here. It's shit. And you're like, nah, it's cool, man. Like, you go in the house and there's like these tissues there. Like, there's people being sick in here. And like, have you been in more than one house yet, James? Like, no, I'm just in the beginning. It's like every house has those fucking tissues. And that's Far Cry. It's like, oh, cool. This house had this like secret in the roof. It's like, yeah, they've all got a secret in the roof. Yeah, it's all
they've been copied and pasted.
Yeah. Because that's the reference that everyone wants. Everyone's gone to the Rapture.
Games, though.
Yeah. They're solid. The gunplay is fine and everything. I 5 seems so ripe to, like, it doesn't have to be super political or anything, but to do something, to have some balls, to fucking like, but it was just like, you know what's good? Being milquetoast. Yeah. Middle of the road.
But I guess that's Ubisoft all over though. They have these games which, you look at them on the surface, you think, this should be political. And they're like, no.
And they are still political, but they're just not interestingly political.
Political.
Yeah, it's like Watch Dogs is, by its inherent concept, incredibly political, but it doesn't say anything interesting about it. Like, give me a right wing game. Get like, what's the one that there's stupid controversy over, the night something? It's like a 2D pixel, but looks like lots of cool lighting. And anyway, there was a bit of controversy because the guy making it was a bit right wing, and like the game in part I think was a bit of a criticism of like universal basic income and stuff like that. And people are like, you can't criticize. I'm like, yes, you can. You're allowed to criticize. I'd love to hear a coherent argument and stuff. I can play a game with a fascist argument. I'm going to take it to an extreme here if it has something to say that's like interesting about it. But I don't want to play one that's just like dumbly fascist.
Yeah. But I think the thing that's kind of frustrating with Ubisoft stuff is like it seems like it sets itself up to do something, to say something.
Oh, especially Far Cry 5. Like those initial trailers, like the streets and everything, and just like this idea of basically this terror in. And that us as more Western areas, that feels like home. Even though it's America, it's not Australia, but it's just like, it's like those are just shops that we know. It's just like, this feels very
there's
familiar.
Familiarity to the world.
And there's this horror in it, and it's just a shooting gallery. It doesn't, nothing matters. It's
I mean, and what I like is it just degenerates into silly fun. And I enjoy the silly fun. And I enjoy the chaos that breaks out, and I enjoy like the taking on the bases, and like I enjoy like all the individual mechanics. It's just like Watch Dogs or Division 2 or like all these things are set up to like to do something, anything. But they just don't, and they just go.
Did you know that fascist authority is bad? It's like, yeah, I did. Could we investigate?
Here's a bunch of it to shoot.
Yeah. Like why people would be like that? Maybe
you could draw some parallels to kind of present day events.
I don't think that there's nothing really happening at the moment that you could
make some kind of commentary on. No.
But the problem is those people also buy video games, and Ubisoft doesn't want them to not buy the video game.
It probably is the fact they're too big.
What if though? Because there's at least one photo I've seen come out from recent events that look like it could just be on the cover of a Far Cry game.
Just the guy in the horns.
Because like, surely there is a line to cross where like, yeah, they'll be annoyed and won't buy the games up to a point. But if they are the selling point, it kicks in the little like
if they had Far Cry subtitled Deplorables, and you got to be the Viking Helmet Man. Did you see that he was apparently starving?
Yeah.
Because he can't eat.
Because he couldn't get organic. Which is such a weird combination of like right-wing and conspiracy theorist and hippie at the same time. Some really weird characters in this whole. Democracy's over, apparently.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was always kind of over, but now it's just in a different way. It's
more obvious.
Yeah, exactly. So let me just do a quick shoot down. I'm just going to read out anything that's not stupid. No. Riders Republic is supposed to be out this year. Actually, it's supposed to come out in February, which kind of surprised me because we haven't seen much of that game. That's that Ubisoft everything sports game, sort of follow up to Steep.
Oh yeah.
I'd hope it's good. I don't know.
Yeah. Goodbye Volcano High.
Yes, Goodbye Volcano High. I still play the song from the trailer on the radio quite regularly. It's cool.
Yeah, that kind of coming of age juxtaposed against dinosaurs and incoming comet, I think is just it's genius. Like I don't know if I'll like the game, but the thematic, just the premise, I think is
if they could keep that tone going of like that sort of that cheesy, deep and meaningful sort of thing. I can get on board. Like as long as it doesn't overstay its welcome, as long as like the writing is, snappy enough, not too anime. Yeah. It'll be a little bit anime.
But I just want to see how they balance that against the end of civilization. It's the idea of having a coming of age story where, it's like, it's going to end.
Depending on the frame, but they don't necessarily know it's going to end.
Yeah.
We'll see how they frame it.
Like I think
that's how they frame it.
I'm kind of expecting it's going to be this thing in the background, which the viewer is going to be aware of.
Yeah,
but the characters won't.
Like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Or it's just Donnie Darko with dinosaurs. That's what I'm looking forward to. It'll be good. Speaking of good, The Good Life is supposed to come out this year. I bet it's going to be real janky.
Yeah,
and
maybe
interesting. Because that's sweary for us. I don't know why I guess they just can't get the budget up because they still don't sell that much most of his games. But it feels like surely just something could be more polished. I mean, that Secret Island of J.J. Abrams game, that could have been. I don't see why that couldn't have been more polished. It's an alright game though. I liked it. It also isn't called that.
I'm very confused. I'm like, what?
It's. I'm not that far off. Let me get you the actual name, so I'm not just making an in-joke with myself. Island. The Missing J.J. McField and the Island of Memories.
Oh, okay.
That's why I had J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
That's the interesting game where it's a side scroller where it has a lot of themes of body horror and such. So it's like, I need to light a torch over there. I'll just walk into this fire and set myself on fire and run over to it. Except the character feels pain, so they scream horribly and die as you do it. And that's me telling you some of the lighter things that happens in that game. It's quite heavy, but yeah, that was a good game, but still janky as hell because it's sweary. Evil Genius 2 is supposed to come out this year. I wonder if it can make itself relevant to the modern age. Let's say yes.
Oh, yeah, okay. Let's go with your answer.
Yeah. Axiom Verge 2, which looks very different to Axiom Verge 1, which is good because they did a good job. Now do something different. No More Heroes 3.
Shadow Warrior 3.
Shadow Warrior 3.
More grappling hooks.
Scorn. We can get our dripping cocks in the walls.
Yeah, finally.
Finally. We can find out what the hell Jet the Fast Shore is.
I remember that one.
That's the new game from Super Brothers. Sword and Sorcery.
Sword and Sorcery.
Yeah, Sword and Sorcery. Which was the last game they released.
Oh, wow.
Which was back when when the first fucking iPhone came out or whatever. They've only had a hiatus of like an entire technological generation of humankind to make a new game. So we'll find out what the hell that is.
Let's hope it's not been made in Flash.
I mean, it looked very pretty. It had similarities to like Interstellar and stuff in there, but we'll see. Chivalry 2 is supposed to be out. Gotham Knights, which had the weirdest thing this week. Some guy who originally leaked it, but he doesn't have any like real contacts there. Really. Just like, just letting everyone know, it's just Spider-Man, but with a co-op buddy. I'm like, no, it's not. Do you not understand why people like Spider-Man? Like, for one, 90% of why people like Spider-Man is because it's a game about swinging around New York, which this game doesn't have. So already you've lost most of what people like about Spider-Man. And the rest, like the combat, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but Spider-Man has Batman combat. So we're just back to you now. What you mean to say is it's a polished open world game that has co-op. It could be interesting. Yeah, Gotham Knights. We'll see. Weirdest thing I saw. Remember, it's got 3 characters, but it's two-player co-op.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why are there 3 characters when you only play 2?
I don't understand.
There's also the Suicide Squad.
But that's not at least until next year.
Oh, is that 2022?
Minimum. Yeah. They haven't shown a single frame of that game yet. Although, you know what? That cutscene might have been rendered in engine. Goodness gracious. Horizon Forbidden West. That'll be a big hitter. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like it feels like it's going to be super impressive, but it's a known quantity. So I'm just happy to wait.
Like so many of the big next-gen games that are going to hit this year are sequels. Which means we know what they're going to be.
Yes. The next game that I'm super excited is not a sequel, though. We're all excited for the Eternal Cylinder, though.
Oh, yes.
Fuck yes. Ace Team, one of my favorite developers. I went back and was playing the Deadly Tower of Monsters the other week. Thought I'd play it on the PS5, see if it was any better. No, it's exactly the same game. Of course it is. I mean, that game has deliberately low frame rates because it's mimicking stop-motion animation. How would it be any better? But it's funny. That's the game where you're a little blob and you get to evolve as you run around being chased by a cylinder as wide as the world being pushed by a giant. Of course, one of those old chess rates.
Yeah, Sam wants something new, Paul.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, how about the Gunk?
The what?
The Gunk.
That's a Microsoft thing?
Yes, it's coming out on Xbox. I don't know about it. I think it's what are the thing that did Stick It to the Man and a bunch of other. What are they called? Why don't you guys remember when I say Stick It to the Man?
I don't know. You're the one of us that played Stick It to the Man.
Words.
I played it multiple times. It's Zoink. That's right. Zoink's making it. I guess I could have just typed the Gunk, actually, I guess. I thought the Gunk's fun.
Google.
I gotta look up the game that they also made. Yeah, the Gunk. The Gunk. Oh, no, maybe it's not. No, it's Image and Form. No, oh, that's right.
So he's completely wrong.
I was completely wrong, because it's a SteamWorld team. It's the first 3D game they're making.
Okay.
And we think because they're not controlling the license, they made a new
know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, don't know much about it other than it's got a brilliant name. And yeah, there's Gunk. It's a third-person action game. But it's new, and it's by a very cool team. My dog is having a fit, probably because my wife has come home. But that's all good. Okay, let's get close to finishing this up anyway. I'm going to quickly rush through. If there's anything else that's huge, I bet we don't see Avowed. We might see Fable, but I bet it doesn't come out.
We're not going to see Diablo 4. We're going to see Dusty.
Dusty's the dog. Hey, Dusty, come over here. Come on,
Dusty!
Stop barking, you little fool.
No, he's having a good time.
Yeah,
he's having a good
waking the hell. Oh, my baby's asleep still. That's okay.
Dusty, come on, buddy. Come on, Dusty.
Come on.
There he is. Good boy, Dusty.
Yeah.
Just snort right into the microphone.
Let's finish this up. Yes, we've done that. We've got most of the things at 12 minutes, which we mentioned earlier, which I'm sure. I don't think it's going to come out, but I'd love to see if they work out a game around Everwild.
Oh, and what it's going to be?
That's Rare's new game, where they've released multiple trailers, but they still don't know what the game is.
Yeah, so they're basically doing another
Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Maybe, yes. And Beyond Good and Evil 2, she'll definitely come out this year.
100%.
That's right
Yes,
after
Dusty.
Elder Scrolls 6 this year, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Starfield in February, Elder Scrolls 6 in December.
Yeah.
And then a surprise launch of
Yeah.
Beyond Good and Evil 2. You little barker.
Yeah.
You smelly little barker. Toast has been good, which is weird because he's the worst barker. Okay. And then let's call this a show, shall we? Still games that I haven't spoken about on the show, which I should. Especially Teardown, but mostly Animal Fight Club.
Oh.
Save that one for next time.
Shit, yeah. I hope you're all excited for that one. Okay, thank you for watching and listening to 8.5bit. You can go to our website, 8.5bit.com, our Twitter and Facebook. Please share anything like that. Subscribe to us on iTunes if you want, or whatever the hell. I don't care. Join us on Discord, because that's a bit more fun. We can all chat and share our stories about our love lives and pictures of your dogs and your reviews of...
Play well with Paul.
And
No,
your, and
that's
your
done.
reviews of an old Hulk game.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty
on the
good.
screen right now.
Oh, yes, it is up there.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad I didn't leave anything too incriminating on my computer sometimes. I probably do sometimes, and who gives a shit? I've been your host, Paul.
I've been James.
I've been Sam.
Catch you all later, folks.
See you, everyone.